We are here. Absolutely, man. I cannot wait until a week from Friday where we get this bad puppy going here, man. Rent's due. Rent is due. And by the way, this is the bad guy. How you doing? The bad guy. I'm known as the bad guy of Philly. I know. Pull a chair up. Now listen, I want to make this very clear. Oh, and by the way, we always have to do this. Big sales. Understand this. This show is not for the faint of heart. Hey, look at Abe. I like Baldy. Yeah, Baldinger said it. Jordan Davis hasn't shown him anything in 2 years. That's why I like Brian Baldinger too. How you doing, man? This is a show for the non-faint of heart. And if you're used to snowflake broadcasting, this ain't for you. I'm giving you a PSA, a public service announcement right now. A PSA. This ain't for the faint of heart. We should run a disclaimer on this program. If you start to get your feelings hurt, you should see psychiatric help. There you go. Jason, we need to put that on a shirt too. How you doing? You see, whereas some shows have PMS, this is a PSA. Okay? Public service announcement. If you get your panties in a bind, like some of you dudes do, like Prince and some of these guys, then I don't know. Prince can kind of take it at times, but not always. Okay? So, Eagles and Packers next Friday, man. 24 hours after the 53-man roster, 70-man roster, they call it, has been set. We got thoughts on it. I say this tight end, wide out, O-line, probably going to be an area that they're going to manipulate. I would say the roster a little bit more. They need another tight end. They need more depth in the O-line. I think they're going to get another wide receiver. And you got 28 guys on defense. By the way, why do you think you guys have 28 guys of the 53 men on defense? You know why? You got to balance your salary cap somehow. So that's why you have stiffs on the defensive side. People you're not paying. Why do you think you do that? You're a top-heavy football team. Now people are picking that up because they watch the National Football Show, and I'm telling you that for about 6-7 months. You're top-heavy. You got all the money guys on one side, and you got nobodies on the other side, and that's why you got a 9-8 roster at best. At best. Oh, and by the way, real quick, I got a bet going on right now on my Twitter page of when Fat Dom has to grab Sirianni by the scruff and corral him in. Week 4, week 8, or week 12? When does Fat Dom have to grab him by the throat and say, settle down, youngster? Settle down, youngster. How many games? How many games before Fat Dom has to grab him? Week 2. Dave says week 2. He has to grab. He grabs it. Week 1. Okay, when we're up by 18. Oh, Eduardo goes, this guy's going to get so far ahead of himself when you're up 18 that he's going to start acting like an asshole on the sidelines in Brazil. Hey, you might not want to get a little nutty down there. Remember what happened for the Rio Games? You know, a swimmer got crazy at a gas station, and they held him in one of the Brazilian jails. Hey, Nick, you might want to behave yourself. Better bring Fat Dom with you, man, because you may need him to get your ass out of jail. How about he grabs Sirianni by the neck? Oh, man, hey, that would be worth the price of admission. Watching Fat Dom grab Sirianni by the throat. I can't. Holy cow. Seals, you act like we are the Carolina Panthers. Well, you're not far removed on defense from them. Dude, where do you think you're great on defense? Where are you great? Where are you good on defense? Where? No Mark Holmes today. Philly 500, though, at 4:30, and the head football coach of the Miami Hurricanes will be with us at 3:30. He'll join us. Canes and Gators this Saturday. Hold on. I asked you a question, senor, not about your coach. Where are you good in personnel on defense? Where? Where are you good? Where are you good? Greatest coach in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles is one of the coaches on the hot seat. How can that be? How can that be? Go Gators. Let's look at this guy. You could be easily the first guy I block ever. Jalen Carter? Maybe. Maybe. Had a good start to the year, finished poorly. Interior? Probably so. Other than that, nowhere else. Zero. Goose egg. Goose egg. Mario Cristobal, as I said, will join us. Okay, Jack, where are you good on defense? DT, where else? Where else are you decent? Where else are you decent? Once again, guy, listen to your D coordinator. Coaches don't make great defenses. Players do. The words of Vic Fangio. The words of Vic Fangio. Okay? Oh, by the way, I do have a couple. We're going to hit on some issues here. My takeaway, I got a chance to watch that interview with Nick Sirianni and with Howie Roseman in detail, so I'm going to comment on that. And I got two more topics here. But before we get going, and please hit the like button, guys. Your DBs and corners are not good. Richard, where are you? You were 31st. And now you added new guys who've never played in the league, and you're 31st. You didn't add anybody of significance at your cornerback position, and you added a guy who missed 14 games last year. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, now Sweat's good, right, Kyle? I thought he was overrated. Wayne says Slay isn't good. He's kind of good. Guys, I really don't have to debate the obvious. Okay? I don't. Milton Williams. I like the player too. Guy hasn't never started a down, but he's going to go get him, buddy. All right. Let me ask you something here. You know what's going around the national shows right now? One question for you. So do you think that all of the issues of the head coach and the quarterback have been resolved? August 28th. Less than 10 days away from the opener. Do you really believe that I'm going to sit here and think all that's been resolved? Has it been resolved between the coach, the quarterback, and the team? Why are you giving that the benefit? Why are you doing that? That it's been resolved? Was that a one-of? So you think it's been resolved? Sills, defense will not get off the field this year. Amen, Sam. There's a smart man. Not a chance. It'll be resolved. How about this, Tony? For it to be resolved, don't you think they've got to get out to a great start for it to go away? How imperative, Tony, and this is where I'm going with it, not to revisit last year. Isn't it an imperative thing that the Eagles start strong early to settle the locker room? Do you agree? Well, was the head coach the problem? or the scapegoat of Howie's interference? I think a little of both, Brian. Tony, right? Wayne, they can't get out to a slow start. Okay? They just cannot. Get this. Yes, it has been to the playoffs 3 years in a row. And yet his questioning of being a head coach in this league is still in question. How about this one here? Richard, there's more of a question mark on Nick Sirianni going into this year than Jalen Hurts. Seals, we don't know if it's resolved. Until it's tested, wins are not the test. That's right. Figuring out how to be a problem solver. Absolutely. Richard, I don't think you have to get out to a 10-1 start for the team. 6-3 will probably put it at ease too. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think you have to get out to a 10-1 start to settle the locker room down. Personally, I think that's a question mark going into this year. Has last year's problems with the head coach and the roster been resolved? We like Bob says, we won't know. A great start implies the offense plays well, which means Moore is calling the game well, gets a potential head coaching job in the offseason, then the problem comes back again. You know what, though, Eagle Podcast? Let's get through them starting off good. And we'll worry about Kellen Moore in December and January. Let's concern ourselves with September. That's the task at hand here. What happens after the season? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But what happens after the season? I'm not concerned with that right now. I'm concerned more with September. Sills, is it possible Howie is banking on the offense to outscore everyone and believes the majority of the NFC is bad, and with Vic defenses, it can't be worse? Yeah, I think that's how they're thinking. Okay, I think that's how they're thinking. I totally do. You know how that's why you know they're thinking that way? Look at how the roster's been constructed. By the way, we're going to look at how the roster's been constructed. Everything I said about the roster being constructed, it's in front of you. All the things that I said about your defense and about half a roster, you don't have a great – you think somehow you have a really good 53. You have a massive amount of questions on your 53. And on one side of the ball, you have no question marks, really, on offense. None. Right guard, maybe? Health of Barkley. How the offense works with Moore and Hurts. Sure, okay. Are you going to get production out of 3? Kind of, but not really going to be a killer. Are you going to get good linebacker play? Are you going to get fair backer play? Are you going to get pressure? How are your corners going to play? Last year, they were horrible. And you added younger players that have never played. Okay. How in the world do you come up with you're improved? Because you drafted people? Your guy doesn't even start in the position he was drafted in. What do we – and the second guy, my opinion, Cooper DeJean is overkill. How he addressed it. How he drafted 2 corners in a row, and it was overkill because of his failures of a year ago. Instead of getting a linebacker like Wilson or Edgerrin Cooper, they went corner. Okay, you know what? I think Cooper DeJean's going to be a good ball player. I do. We don't know. Hey, I'm not talking shit on any of these guys, these rookie guys. My only problem with Quinyon Mitchell is you drafted him to be a top-flight corner in the NFL, and what, you were 31st in the league last year? You're telling me he couldn't beat anybody out on the numbers with the worst defense and pass coverage last year, and he couldn't beat anybody out, and he was the 22nd player taken? I might have a problem with that. I might have a problem with that. Is he smart? Is he picking up the defense? Why isn't he starting over Isaiah Rodgers? Teron Arnold's starting in Detroit. You can say whatever you want about Detroit. They made it to the NFC title game. And he's starting on a pretty decent defense up there. Okay, I mean, like, your guy doesn't have anything over him, and he's starting. What's the deal? Why is he not starting? Why are you putting a guy that you're going, well, he really wasn't that productive at corner in Indianapolis, was he, Isaiah Rodgers? How about this? Dan Sileo, do you agree that we have to wait and see how good the defense is? Here, to your point, little strawberry. Vic Fangio said you have to wait till week 12. I'll let you know then. I don't have to wait till week 12 in Kansas City. I already know they're good. That's my point the whole freaking time. Little strawberry, I'm not saying you're going to, well, I think you are going to struggle mightily in the early stages. That's why I picked to go 9-8. Dude, if you had as much talent on defense as you do offense, you're 17-0. How about this? If you were marginally better on defense, you're a 17-0 team potentially. Again, here, what's the point? Don't get ahead of yourself, kid. Don't get ahead of yourself. And by the way, I'll show you how your contracts have shown that you're top heavy. Let's do that. Before I get into my takeaways with Nick and with Howie, you think this Eagle team is too top heavy? And what I mean by that is all your assets are on one side of the ball. Look at Chiefs, 13 wins. With an unknown defense, he says 13 wins. 15 wins with an unknown defense. This looks like the carbon copy of last year when all you guys were putting those 10-1 numbers up. And I kept telling you, you're not 10-1. Same with Spike. Same thing as he did a year ago. And then as the thing came crashing down, I was telling you who you were. I was telling you who you were from New England on. New England on, I was telling you, you're not that good. You're not that good. Now look at this. Podcast goes like this. Yeah, for sure, top heavy, but I think it's good enough to win 10, 11 games. Well, how about this Eagle podcast? 10, 11 games? That's really only one more win than I'm saying. The difference between 10-8 or 9-8, I should say, and 10-7 is probably 15 plays in a game. We're not talking about anything crazy here. By the way, and I've upped it from 7 to 9. Here, get this. That's exactly what Roseman said it yesterday. We have to balance the personnel with the contracts. His rookie contracts are on defense now, and he finessed Hurts' contract to put money elsewhere right now. Not money elsewhere, money on the offense. That's exactly being called top heavy. You don't have a balanced roster. The experience is definite. Everything I told you, the general manager even said, and we're going to go into because I wrote down what he said. You don't have a balanced roster. How do you have a balanced roster? The GM said it. He said it yesterday. I heard it. Okay? At the end of the day, you still don't know. Okay? You're going into the game with absolute. Let's see here. You having coach on. Xander, I'm going to send you a text message for Cameron here. So I'm going to send you this here. This is for Cameron. This is the PR guy for the Miami Hurricanes. I apologize for doing this on the fly. This is for Cameron. This is for Coach. At 3:30 p.m. Let me get there on the air now. Yes. Yes. You'll get it in a second. You will get it in a second. So here we go. Cool. Mario Cristobal, by the way, head football coach of the Canes, will be with us at 3:30 Eastern time as they get ready for the Gators. So we'll do that again. We're looking forward to having him on. We always get him on. That's going to be a big game this weekend. One of the real big college football games this weekend. Hey, Sills, are you going to say Dallas is better than? Absolutely not. Sean, I think the Dallas Cowboys win 5 ball games this year. Okay? Sills, can you stop with the what misinformation? What are you talking about? What misinformation? What misinformation? What are you talking about? 5573. What misinformation are you talking about? What are you saying? I'm curious. Sills, if we're 2-2 going into the bye and we come out of win week 6, we'll know the media and the fans will be going crazy. Can Nick and the staff settle things down? We shall see. If they're 2-2 heading into the bye week, there's going to be a lot of screaming. He is a starting corner in CB at 5573. He's not starting against the Packers at cornerback. And stop saying slot corner and corner are the same. They're not. Your defensive coordinator even said it. Slot corner and playing on the numbers is 2 different skill sets. Out of Vic Fangio's own mouth, he said it. What are you making? You talk about misinformation? 5573 just gave you misinformation. The defensive coordinator told you. Okay? He told you that they're 2 different skill sets. I mean, completely 2 different mindsets. And skill sets, too, by the way. So, yeah. Okay? Yes. Okay? It's funny, but Sills knows what sells Cowboys. Floor is 9. Never. Cowboys won't win 9 games. In what aspect? They're not winning 9 games. Absolutely not. Let's get into a little bit of what Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni said. Nick didn't really say shit. Okay? Nick didn't really say shit at all. So let's get into Howie. Let me ask you this, though. So once again, I do want to ask you one last thing here before we move on here. By the way, please hit the like button. Guys have been great. You think this 53-man roster is a 12 to what does Anders say? 15 wins? So between 12 and 15 wins, this Eagle team is, right? Is that what you're saying? Is that right? Jack Stoll re-signed with the Eagles. That's a good pickup. Knows the system. If that's true, that's a good thing. So Wayne says 12 and 5. That's a 12-win roster. That's a 12-win roster. 12 is fair. I say 9 to 10 wins. Cowboys 53 is weak. I agree. Hit the like button. If Sills even dumber than Mark Holmes. Dude, where are you good on defense? Deron Bland's out now, 6 to 8 weeks? You signed Dalvin Cook in desperation? Your center position, the guy you drafted, BB, I don't know. Tyler Guyton, well, how good will he be? He's a rookie. We'll see. I mean, where are you good? How about this? I'll make this point to you. That the Dallas Cowboys roster that Dak has this year is arguably the worst roster Dak Prescott has played since he's been a Dallas Cowboys starter. You have Micah Parsons, who's overrated. Where is he late in the year, Micah Parsons? You could put that guy's face on a milk carton. How many times does he not show up, Micah Parsons? You could put him on. Hey, Ultra Cowboy. Really? Ask Arizona what you do to him. Run the ball at him. He's soft. He's a finesse player. That's not a dominant football player. Lane destroys that guy. It's like Velcro. You know what? When Parsons plays against Lane, the only reason he's a Dallas Cowboy, get this. Wait a minute. What a clown. 2 all-pro corners. One's out 6 to 8 weeks. What a clown. You don't have 2 corners starting September 1 against Cleveland. Where do you have 2 corners that are all pro? Where? Hey, Ultra Cowboy, you want to know misinformation, folks? That right there. Deron Bland's not starting against Cleveland. He's out 6 to 8. And by the way, why didn't you sign Stephon Gilmore back? That might have helped. Instead, he's in Minnesota. What a dumbass move by your ignorant general manager. Absolutely pathetic GM. Pathetic. The only thing that Jerry Jones has done is show you he's not Jimmy Johnson. Can't build. Hey, Jerry can build a 12-win team. Jimmy Johnson builds championship teams. Think about it. You know what? You know what's funny about Cowboy fans? You are like being in a fist fight with Eagle fans, and Eagle fans get to use both hands to beat your ass, and you've got one hand tied behind your back. That's what it's like being in a fight with the Eagles. I'll give you a comparison, too. Okay? Misinformation. Jerry builds championship teams. When did he ever do that? Cowboys started winning Super Bowls when they... Oh, okay. No, they started winning Super Bowls when they hired the coach who will be on here next week, Jimmy Johnson, to start the NFL season. That's when they were starting to win. Jimmy Johnson did more in 5 years than Tom Landry did in 30. How you doing? How you doing? 5 years. And you got, get this. You think, how about this? Ultra Cowboy fan. Hey, Eagle fans. How many people in here think Micah Parsons is as good as Charles Haley? How many people think he's as good as Charles Haley? How many people? Does anybody think Micah Parsons is better than Charles Haley, who is the owner of 5 rings? 5 Super Bowl rings. 3 in Dallas, 2 in San Francisco. Nobody on the planet thinks that Micah Parsons is even close to being a dude like a... Is he better even than, like, Jeffcoat? Maybe. He is, without a doubt, one of the absolute most overrated players in pro football. Like, he's, like, if Miles, get this, if Miles Sanders played in Dallas, Miles Sanders would be considered the greatest player in the game today. It's so fucked up talking about Cowboy fans. You guys are so irrelevant. I have no idea how people tune that game on to watch you. It's like watching the Lakers. There's 2 things that are in common with the 2 signature franchises in this country. Americans like train wrecks. The Lakers are a train wreck, and people cover them. The Cowboys have been a train wreck for 30 years, and they cover them. Why? Why? I like covering winners. I like covering the winners. I mean, what did he say? They cut Sileo on his day off. Let's see something here. Would you consider this guy one of your best coaches in the history of the Dallas Cowboys? Would you? Hey, Ultra Cowboy, let's see what he wrote. Hey, Dan, it was a great run. Swagger at Amazon. We're in here, too. How you doing? How you doing? You haven't been good since Bill Clinton was with Monica Lewinsky in the Oral Office. That's the last time you were good. When Monica Lewinsky was relevant. Wait a minute. Talking smack. This is reality. What in the world are you talking about? Look at this. Some people go like this, talking smack. How easy is it to talk shit on the Cowboys? Watch this. Losers. That can't be too hard. That can't be. Let's see. Let's see here. So, C24 says that that's not Jimmy's writing. So let's see here. This is my camp letter. You think those two handwritings are the same? Sil's got them. No? Think those handwritings are the same? Hey, C24, everything you say on this program is funny. I like it. Oh, good, brother. I know you know, because Jimmy's been on here a ton of times. Cowboy fans, 30 years. Hey, wait a minute. Oh, my God, Xander, do me a favor. Is there a way we can edit this out of my show? I just realized something, folks. I just realized I spent about 10 minutes of my life that I'll never get back again. And I talked about the Cowboys, and they sucked me into it. I please, God, can I get 10 minutes of my life back? You know, I just want those 10 minutes back, because usually I talk about a team that matters, like the Eagles, and some of the other ball teams like Green Bay, Kansas City, Cincinnati, teams that win. Can I please have 10 minutes of my life back? Holy shit, what a waste of my life. Unbelievable. Stills, you got to remember, Cowboy fans are comparing Michael Parsons to Lawrence Taylor. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Hey, when I look at Michael Parsons, I see missing persons. Nobody compares that guy with any brains to Lawrence Taylor. And by the way, don't ever compare Aaron Donald to Reggie White. Those two dudes are just different. Seals, anyone who takes Parsons never saw Haley play. Parsons might be a better athlete. Haley was a better football player, and he actually showed up in big games, enormous games he played in. Oh, wait. This guy's now comparing him to Reggie White. And know this too, guys. Remember something. Today's game, they throw the ball 40 times a game. When Reggie and LT played, they threw the ball 22 times a game. Double the chances. Double the chances and opportunities to get to the quarterback today. That's why you see high sack totals. Let me say this to you. That guy, Bryce Huff, playing in Lawrence Taylor's day, he'd have 4 sacks at minimum. No, at maximum, he'd have 4 sacks. You didn't get the opportunity back in the day. It's a different league. They throw the ball all over the yard now. Reggie White played in today's NFL. He'd have 40 sacks in a year. You know that year? What was it, guys? The year Reggie played where he had 12 games and he had 22 sacks? Hey, you put that guy in today's NFL, he had 50 sacks that year. So you got to remember that these are the same guys who listen to Mark Holmes. It's delusional takes. It's completely delusional. The Cowboys have not been relevant, honestly, since MySpace. I mean, since MySpace. That's the last time. And their football team's got a 5-win roster, right? Did you see they cut 20 guys? They got 20 guys and kept nobodies. I don't think the Dalvin Cook deal's that bad. I like Dalvin Cook. Okay? I like Dalvin Cook. I do. So you think we don't win the division? The Cowboys only 5. Unproven Commanders winning the division. The team is even worse than us. Dude, I got the Commanders. Pipe down. You might be right. I don't believe it. I don't believe your defense is that good. I don't. I want to stop talking about the Dallas Kardashians. Okay? Let's stop talking about the Dallas Kardashians. That's who the Dallas Cowboys are. The Dallas Kardashians. You got punked by Jordan Love. I mean, that dude bent you over, and you said thank you in a playoff game. Hey, Cowboy fans, that young Packer team bent you over. You said thank you. I'll take another. Okay. Whoa. You couldn't sit down for 3 weeks after that game. You couldn't sit down. Ultra Cowboy, you couldn't sit down for 3 weeks because that bitch hurt so bad. Oh, my God. You were walking like you were Frankenstein. Ugh, damn. All right, let me get into Elf Roseman. Oh, Howie. Hey, you Texas guys, man. Pretty delusional. Think that football team is good. CeeDee Lamb, I'm a warrior. I'm ready to go battle. Can you imagine you putting A.J. Brown in a slot? He'd have 200 catches. Hey, Ultra Cowboy, if you put A.J. Brown in the slot going against safeties like your guy is, they're overrated stats. That guy's not a top 5 wideout, CeeDee Lamb. What big-time wide receiver plays out of the slot? Tell me. Does Tyreek Hill? No. Does Jefferson? No. Does Devontae Adams? No. Does DK Metcalf? No. He's the only dude that plays in that slot that has numbers. Okay? Cooper Kupp does. You're right. Kupp does. He's a slot. He's a slot. By the way, you couldn't put Cooper Kupp on the numbers. Cooper Kupp got those. Do you think it's by coincidence that Cooper Kupp was an average football player before Matthew Stafford showed up? And once they got the ball to him in a slot, he goes against corners. I mean, he goes against safeties. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb chops. Dude, you couldn't put CeeDee Lamb and do it. You could never. I could put A.J. Brown in the slot, and he'd have better numbers. I could take CeeDee Lamb, put him on the numbers, he'd have worse numbers. That's a fact. Look at Swansky. This is true. Highest paid. Can I tell you what the slot receiver is the equivalent to? The right offensive tackle. He's like the right OT. And you're paying him huge money. Now, again, I take Lane out of that because Lane's a great player. Lane's probably the best right tackle I've seen in my lifetime. Okay? I mean, you put AJ in that slot. Here, I'd say this, 1,900 yards, 160 catches. Remember something, he's got to share the wealth with the other guy who gets 100 yards or 100 catches and 1,000 yards. He's got to share the wealth with that dude. Okay? Let's see here. Wait until Devontae Smith gets in the slot this year. He'll show the difference. Yeah, I agree with that, Wilf. Hey, W. Farrell, I agree. Hey, Devontae in that slot running those pass routes versus those safeties, he'll kill them. He'll kill them. Dude, you have nothing on that football team except, I'll give you this. Parsons is a better pass rusher than anything the Eagles have. There is no doubt about it. Who's a better old lineman right now than Jordan Mailata on your team? Zach Martin? No, thank you. I'll take Landon Dickerson over him. Who do you have? The two tackles with the Eagles. Here, I wrote this down too. Here are the big Tyler Smith. I'll take Jordan Mailata. There's more upside with him. I'll take Jordan Mailata. I'll take Mailata over Smith. Yeah, he's a better athlete. He's a better athlete. And I happen to think Smith's a good player. Jordan Mailata has been rated. Here are the old lines. Here are the top 5 offensive lines in pro football. Detroit, the Colts. I like that Damon kid and that Smith kid that they have at the 2 tackle positions. I think Indianapolis has some really good offensive tackles. I think the Colts are second. Eagles are third. Cleveland is 4. Atlanta's 5. Cowboys are nowhere in the top 10. Nowhere. Nowhere in the top 10. 3 years ago you were. Cowboys don't have a top offensive line. Your guy Mozzie Smith sucks dick, and your linebackers are kind of good. And now you've lost Deron Bland, and now you're bringing a guy back off of an MCL injury from a year ago to jump into that corner spot, and he's going to be 100% healthy. The Cowboys are going to win 5 games. And your number 1 pick of a year ago is a bust. Let me talk about a football team that's closer. Holy shit, maybe what I should do is I should start talking Cowboys right away so that everybody understands where I'm coming from, that me spending all the time that I do on the Eagles shows you that I'm more pissed off that they're so close, whereas the Cowboys are eons away from reality. They're like eons away from reality. Hey, there's a better chance that the Atlanta Falcons win the Super Bowl this year than the Cowboys. There's a better chance that the Falcons win. There's a better chance that the Falcons will host home field than the Cowboys. There's a way better chance of Atlanta. They're in a shittier division, and they have one of the worst schedules on the planet. Justin goes, come on, bro. Really? Have you seen Atlanta's schedule outside of the first 3 games? They're in the NFC South, the worst division in football. They could easily win 12, 13 ball games in a shitty division with the worst schedule in the league. Dude, you could say whatever you want about Cousins. He wins and he puts enormous numbers up. And they should have won that division, but they had that stupid-ass Desmond Ridder last year. And by the way, the Atlanta Falcons had the 5th best O-line that Bijan Robinson's now running behind. Then if the Cowboys win more games, you need to manscape. Hey, I'll tell you what, Ultra Cowboy. Look, Manscaped, Mark Holmes. Mark Holmes doesn't have a cannoli. Okay? He doesn't have a cannoli. He's a unit. He had his nuts chopped off, what, 28 years ago after they fired Jimmy? The Cowboys have been neutered like a cat for the last 28 years. You guys are eunuchs. Cowboys have no balls. It's like one of them bull rider guys. You know how they tie their nuts up? That's what the Cowboy fan is. He's had his nuts tied up for 28 years. I mean, hey, Eagle fans are probably going like this. Damn, Sills. Okay. Well, you think I just pick on you? Hey, what do you think? I just pick on you? Hit the like button. Hey, between missing Parsons and Mozzie Smith, yeah, you know what they're going to do on the highways? They're going to have a silver alert. Have you seen this guy? Please call Jera. I haven't seen missing Parsons or Lazy Smith. I thought he was somewhere near Denton, Texas. We last saw him in the Panhandle, right near Oklahoma. Says you can't call him that. It's not PC. I don't give a shit about being publicly correct. Hey, are you crazy? That's not what this thing is. Yeah, you know what? Hey, dear Dallas Cowboy fans, this is the Texas Rangers. We're out publicly right now on Highway 45 on our way down to Austin. We're looking for missing Parsons and Lazy Smith. If you find them, can you please call one of our Ranger posts and let the Cowboys know that we have found these men? They have been missing for 18 months. Politically correct? That too. All right. Enough of that. And I have no idea what that is. Back to regular programming. Okay? Jordan Davis clears Lazy. Hey, Jordan Davis is Jerome Brown next to Lazy Smith. Holy cow. Let's get to Howie. So I listened to this stuff yesterday by Elf Roseman. So you see Isaac Seumalo went down with a pectoral injury. He's out for the year then. He's out for the year. No, not good. Okay? CZ goes, I lost a lung. Hey, that's okay. Hey, CZ, the Cowboys lost their balls 28 years ago. Jared cut him. This is what Jared does to his fans every year. Hey, if you're a Cowboy fan, you're used to this, right? Hey, Ultra Cowboy, you're used to this as a fan of the Cowboys, right? You're used to that. It's time for the snipping. What's that mean? Well, it's postseason time. Oh, on to me. I apologize. If anyone got their feelings hurt, Cowboy fan. Hey, Cowboy fans, I'm glad that you surrendered. I'm really glad that you surrendered that because you know you have no comeback. It's the only organization in football. The Eagles have a comeback with me. Hey, Sills, we went to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. And we've won how many games in the last 3? I mean, they're good. They're actually good. Well, Sills, wait a minute. We won 36 games in the last 3 years. Yeah, and you're 0-3 in playoff play. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hey, Xander, can you call this guy Cameron, please? Let me. I want to do my show in peace here, Cameron. So I'm gonna send it to you, Xander. Ugh. Here we go. Do you think the Jets would trade Quinyon Williams? No, I do not. They're in a battle right now, I think, to win the AFC East. No, I don't. There. We just sent it. Okay. So yeah, no. Let's see here. Let me, guys, I apologize here for a second here. Let's see. I may have to take a timeout. I didn't know this was going to be an absolute insane thing here for these guys to get this thing done here. Xander, I just sent you his cell phone. Please call him. Thank you. Okay. All right, guys, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I didn't want to end and take a timeout here, but we will, so that I can call and get this thing going here for him to have Mario Cristobal at 3:30. Do me a favor. Let's see here. Okay, hang on. Let's just do this here. I'm going to do it live. Xander says do it live. Okay. We're going to do this live. Okay. Let's continue. Let's get to Howie. Okay, let's get to Howie. This thing's turning into a train wreck here on me here. Okay, let's get to Howie here. How many people believe that this roster, you're more encouraged with the roster moving forward right now than you were prior to going into camp? How many people believe this? Are you in a better place? Okay? Are you in a better place? C24 says you're winning the Super Bowl. Mr. Perez says we're good. Me, Little Strawberry. Sean says he's in a better place too. We are definitely better. Okay? How about this? Marcus, I'm not going to criticize this because I'm going to tell you why. I'm not going to challenge anybody here because you feel better about the young players that they've added. And you're giving that the benefit of the doubt. Is that where you guys are going? The new faces and the new coordinators. You guys are giving that the benefit that it's going to click right away. Right? And how about this? Cheese. How about this dynamic? Hey, Sills, the NFC's really not that deep. It's not really that deep over there. Who are the top quarterbacks in the NFC that the Eagles are going to have to play against? Brock Purdy? Dak? Cousins? Who else? Stafford? Who are the Eagles going to have to play against that are in the NFC that make you kind of go, well, who else? We don't really know what Caleb Williams looks like, right? So you're being optimistic. Okay. Listen, here on August 28th, I can't, I'm not going to challenge that. Stafford and Love, that's it. Jordan Love in Green Bay. Jordan Love in Green Bay. Guys, please hit the like button. Let's listen to Howie here now. Twiz goes, no one. Okay. Maybe that's why Twiz is looking at the defense and going, I don't care about the defense. They could be in the 20s and we're still going to win 12 games. Is that where you are? You think you guys can be in the 20s, between 15 and 20, and still win 12 games, right? Well, you sucked last year and you won 11. So you do have a history of it, right? Who can score on us? Anybody can score on you. Anybody in the NFL could score on that defense. That defense is not good. Sills, we were in 30 and won 11. So besides Love and Stafford and maybe Cousin, that's about it. Rakeem, I like your thinking here. Still, I'm not sold on the edge rushers. I'm not sold on the entire unit. But that's okay. I think for what we're talking here. I don't like the defense. No rush, no pass. Not sure about stopping the run. Trash can linebackers, health, safeties, corners. KC, all of that is true. Okay? All of that is true. Let's see here. BS, never a doubt. How could you never have a doubt when your defense was 31st last year and you got the same corners coming back and you got a guy that played at Toledo and he's not even playing playing corner? I mean, doesn't that bug you at all that Quinyon Mitchell's not even playing corner? He's not opening the season at corner? Sills, I'm getting prepared for several 35-31 games this year. I think that's where you're going to be. Hopefully, we're on the 35 side more often. I think if they run the ball, they'll be on that side. Let's listen to Howie here. By the way, Mario Cristobal, we're hoping will be with us at 3:30 Eastern time, so we look forward to that. All right. Here's Howie talking yesterday, and I had a chance to go back and listen to him. Here were my takeaways. He was asked a question about Dotson and the acquisition of Dotson. And he said, we liked the player. He was one of the 30 dudes during the draft process that they brought in, and they liked him. They had a chance to interview him. They had a chance to meet with him. They liked the player. And so they had a brief history with him, and they liked him. My problem, though, comes down to this. Why in the world would a team in a division trade a guy in the division? It's not like Washington, and how we even address it is trying to help you get better. What's the problem here? What happened with Dotson that you would do something like that? And always, for me even, trading inside the division is kind of iffy, and it's kind of sketchy when you trade somebody inside a division like that. Okay? Kind of iffy. He was asked the question about Bradbury. There is no doubt that this is a Vic Fangio move. Okay? This is a Vic Fangio move. He's a pretty good football player. He's an insurance policy at corner and safety. And they're comfortable paying $11 million to him. And if there's an injury at safety, or there's an injury at corner, it's a long season. That's how they're looking at this and keeping him on the team. You know what? Most teams don't do this. This is pretty ballsy of them to do this. They're paying $11 million for someone in case of emergency. Usually when you pay people like this and you pay them that kind of money, you're playing them. So Bradbury, again, I mean, guy had 1,500 snaps last year. I don't think they wanted to move off him. I told you this. I thought he would have got cut that first week that he was eligible to get cut, like in April. And when he didn't, I said, this guy's making the team. They're not cutting him. And when he went to camp, I knew they weren't cutting him. That 90-man roster, man, you're not wasting roster spots. And you could have only whacked the guy and had to hit $4 million on your cap. I tell you what, see this comment right here? See this comment? Trey Trashberry, you won't be talking that if you get injured at corner. Or how about this? If CJ gets injured again, you're going to want bodies back there. You're going to want competent bodies. I'll tell you this. Don't be shocked if Bradbury has a bounce-back year in Philly with Fangio. That style of defense they played in 22, he was an all-pro. He was all-pro. 2 years ago, in that style of defense with Gannon, he was an all-pro. Last year when they started pressing, dude, that guy's not a press corner. Neither is Slay. Slay was traded from Detroit because he's not a press corner. Hey, you can say whatever you want, DRC. Bradbury was an all-pro 2 years ago. Okay? He was cooked in 22 and he made the all-pro team. Oh, okay. Sure. I guess. The question is, how was it that Desai made him look so bad? Desai was 10-2 when he got fired. It was Patricia that made him look worse. Made the whole defense look worse, including Reddick. Including Jordan. Matt Patricia cost Jalen Carter the Rookie of the Year award. Sills, he was all pro. The D-line had 100 sacks. RC3, that played into it, absolutely. So what makes you think, no matter how much you guys think you've improved in your secondary? Here, let me ask, let's before I move on to Howie and more Howie here, let me ask you this. Do you guys think you improved in your cornerback position? In your defensive backfield, do you think you've improved? Do you think you've improved the defense in the defensive backfield? Do you think you've improved? John says no. Yeah. Surgical goes yes. No way. Yes, we got younger and better. Balance. Absolutely. If you don't, you're wrong, says John. Okay. So let me ask you something. Somebody just brought up a phenomenal take. So if James Bradbury and Darius Slay look like all pro and all Pro Bowl players when you had 70 sacks, has your pass rush improved? You don't get pass rushing, you're going to look like 23. Has your pass rush improved enough to where your corners are going to look good this year like they did in 22? Then how the fuck can you sit here and tell me you've improved your corner play when you haven't improved your pass rush? Aren't you going to get the same result? And if you guys are telling me that the 22 secondary was a result of the massive pressure and hits on the quarterback, have you improved your pass rush? The answer is no. How in the world are you better in the secondary? You don't have better cover corners. You don't play cover corner. You play two-eye safety and zone defense. You don't have that style of defense. How are you better corners? You can't. You're not tying it up. When you play that, get this. Again, you just got through telling me, Sills, they had 100 sacks in 22. Anybody could look good. Okay. You were second in pass defense. True. Have you improved your pass rush to make that same formula work like you did in 22? The answer is no. How are you better? Especially when you're playing two high safety. What are we talking about here? You're confusing it. They just signed 14 new players. So you think the communication level inside of 4 weeks of camp, Seals, the entire defense is way faster. I asked you a question. Did you improve your pass rush to help your secondary like you had in 22? You had 4 guys with double-digit sacks. You got 4 guys on this team that's going to have four double-digit sacks? Name them. Carter? Say Huff. Who else? Martin, you didn't have 4 guys that had double-digit sacks? Reddick? Sweat? Hardgrave? And Graham. This guy's trying to tell me, no, we didn't. Perez, yes, you did. I think Nolan Smith has 1 big sack. Nolan Smith, what? Mike, Nolan Smith, what? You think Milton's getting 10 sacks? White 10-plus sacks incoming. And which he's never done in his career, but he's doing it in Philly. Sweat can do it? Maybe. 8 to 10? I wouldn't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Let's see here. Let's move on. They like the way Bradbury works. Whatever, dude. Keeping him in case somebody gets injured in catastrophic injuries. And Vic Fangio wants to keep the guy because he doesn't trust the young players yet. That's an old school coordinator's mentality. Not playing the young guys. And get this, not playing the young guys and trying to tell the old guys what to do. And that's why Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey hated Vic Fangio last year in Miami. That's a common thing. Vic connects better with younger players because he could tell them, especially since you've not been schooled in any way. You're not going to tell Jalen Ramsey what to do, even if you're Vic Fangio. The guy won a Super Bowl with the Rams. The guy's one of the highest paid corners in the league. He's been numerous times on an all-pro team, Jalen Ramsey. What would Vic Fangio know about that guy playing zone defense? Jalen Ramsey doesn't want to play zone defense. He's a press corner. Not listening to Vic Fangio. Harder to coach guys like that. I'm not saying he's right. I think your coach is hired to do a job, and you're hired to do a job, and that's play for that guy. And I think you got to do everything in your power, albeit not putting bad tape up. Everything in the realm of the guardrails to do everything your coach is telling you. I think you do all that. Look at the Eagles last year. They were listening to Brian Johnson and Sirianni staying in those guardrails. Cost them a season. Okay? Yeah, I don't give a shit what you think about Ramsey. You could say Ramsey's overrated or not. He's got a Super Bowl ring and one of the highest paid corners in the league. Whatever. You can throw shade on anybody you want. The guy's got the hardware and he's got the resume to go, well, you're wrong. Sills, the fact is we do not have the players that fit Vic's scheme. Playing a 5-man front makes the linebackers even weaker because of the weak zone in the middle. The safety will need to cover for linebacker, so the cornerbacks are on an island and play 8 to 10 off. That's exactly correct. And know this too, Bob, when you do that, that means that Reed Blankenship has got to be on the field. Okay? He can't be off the field. And people are like, wait till Sidney gets back. That's week 10, 12. Season's over if you're not playing well on defense by then. Your season's over. Denard Wilson not coaching DBs affects their play. How about this? That's a really great take by this guy here. How do you think the defensive backs have played since Wilson's not been a DB coach in Philly? I'll tell you what, man, if that Tennessee team looks better on defense, and after what Baltimore had last year in the secondary with him coaching that secondary, and if Philly has another shitty secondary year where they're hanging down between 28 and 30, you're going to question that firing and not elevating Denard Wilson as your DC. Because that guy is showing success. They went to the AFC title game last year with him as the defensive backfield coach, which elevated him to get a job in Tennessee as a DC. You let that guy run out the building. Let me tell you what the coaches that you've let walk out the building. You've let Jonathan Gannon walk out the building. He's a head coach now. Looks like Arizona. I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters in the NFC West, but I'll tell you what, they look like they're improving. And would it shock anybody if Jonathan Gannon had the team, the Colts, with Anthony Richardson in the divisional round of the playoffs? No. Those are three pretty good coaches you let walk out the building, and you had a shit show last year in coaches that you had in the building. Think about that. The Eagles had three quality coaches in the building. Let them walk out the building. Hey, two of them were head coaching jobs. You can't really stop that. You could have stopped that Denard Wilson thing. You could have stopped that. What was the problem? He probably had different ideas. He probably was talking about a whole different type of scheme. We need some new players. He probably didn't want to play that too high safety. And Howie and them went, well, that's not how I get this. Howie tells you here, and I'm going to get to it. Howie tells you here, plain and simple, how he builds this team. Okay, let me go on. He says the roster's incomplete. Right now, they're looking for backups. Eagle Podcast, you got good takes. Get this. Here's Howie's take. Draft picks are special to the organization. There's, when you draft a guy and you evaluate a guy, they're special to the organization. What? Whether you're drafted or not has no bearing on whether or not you're good. If you're not good, if you're drafted in the 7th round or you're drafted in the 3rd round, my God almighty, Tom Brady would have never played in Philadelphia. He would never have played in Philly for Howie with that mentality. Never have played. Howie would have went out and traded for a quarterback and not elevated Brady from the 6th round. No chance would he have done that. No chance. We're looking at this as a 70-man roster. He also says this. He said it was a huge priority when it came to building and getting volume of players back for the secondary. And once again, there's a difference in comments here. He wanted to have as many people as he possibly could for the secondary not to fall into the issues that he had a year ago. Whether they're good or not still has to be resolved. But he's put bodies there. So as a GM, that's a good answer. Hey, I addressed it. We needed a volume of players back there because we were not going to go into another season limited in the secondary. That's an address. Now, to sit here for me and go, oh, they're good, I'm like, I don't know. August 28th, most of them have never played. And the ones that have been limited. Have been limited. He says this about this too. He listens to his scouts and coaches. He makes the final call, though. Man. What would Parcells always say? Hey, Bob, what did Parcells always say? Bill Parcells said this, right? Man, you're going to ask me to, build a team, you should at least let me go shopping for the groceries. Head coach has very little say in what personnel is on that team on both sides of the ball. Now, I think that's changed with Vic. And by the way, I'll tell you what, Vic having 28 players over there on that side of the ball just tells you exactly what's going on money-wise. There's a reason you have 28 players on defense. You know why? You have more question marks on defense. And you have more money on offense. That's why it's unbalanced like that. All your high-powered money. Howie has done this not, again, you add $10 million to your offense and a running back. Why? Was running back an issue a year ago? I didn't think it was. Why didn't you just give more money to Andre Swift? You offered him $6 million. Well, that wasn't going to be cutting it. Maybe you could have got him at $7 million instead of $9 million. And for the record, you got guys that had never produced that before in their entire careers. That was DeAndre Swift's greatest career, year he ever had. Year before that, it was Miles Sanders. Why didn't you just get another good player? Why Barkley? I mean, adding more money to the offense and taking more money away from the defense. That's why you drafted double at corner. You didn't want to pay for a corner. So you go into the draft and have a corner. And he even says it. Hey, we're unbalanced right now. He says it himself. They're unbalanced right now. Well, that's his call. He did that. All the money. And he says it, rightfully so. He's not wrong there. Is now on the offense. Get this. What makes it even crazier about Reddick has produced. Reddick gave you 30 sacks in 2 years. And you didn't want to pay him. Why? Well, because you're paying a ton of money on the other side. Think about what you did. You give a brand new contract extension to AJ and Devontae, and you signed a $10 million back, and you wouldn't sign an edge rusher who's giving you 30 sacks in 2 years. Why? And then when you thought you were like upgrading the team, all you did was move Reddick's money to Huff. You didn't really add to the team. That's what you call an imbalanced salary cap and an unbalanced roster. That's why when you guys keep going, hey, Sills, you really think the Rams have a better roster? Yeah, because it's more balanced on both sides and special teams. And they got better coaching. All this is so simple. I don't know why they complicate it. They need to utilize this O-line, run the ball, be physical. Absolutely. Go get a linebacker like Queen instead of Barkley. Dude, that makes more than I appreciate the super chat, Surgical. You're so right. Surgical, what made more sense? The Xavier McKinney deal, that 17-8 Green Bay gave him, that's a little pricey for me. It's a little pricey, and New York let him walk out the room. Get this. You know what New York did? They let a really good football player go. Then they turned around and let another really good football player go on the other side of the ball in Barkley. Why? Because they're rebuilding. They're looking to balance the cap. The New York Giants stink. They're not going to win any games. But you know what they're going to start doing? They're going to balance the cap, and they're going to start building on both sides of the ball. They went out and got Brian Burns. That's a big deal. Their front four is good. Kayvon Thibodeau, the guy in the middle. Now you had Brian Burns. It's the best defensive line in the NFC East. That kid Burns is a great player. He's 26. Okay? Thibodeau's coming on. He's a good-looking player from Oregon. And you got the kid in the middle who's the all-pro. They're good. They're good. We get it, Sills. You don't believe in the Eagle. I didn't say that. I don't believe in your defense. Marcus, get it right. Get it right. I didn't say that. I don't believe in the defense yet. Got to prove it to us, don't you? When does it get to a point in Philadelphia where you give people the benefit of the doubt for sucking? When in the world is that? I thought in a city like that, you had to earn your stripes by going to work. How are you some of the shit, man, it blows my mind. I thought from an outsider that you were tougher on that stuff. You're not. You're not. I thought you had to earn it. You don't have to earn it. All right, I'm going to take a timeout because we're going to get Mario Cristobal. Big college football games this weekend. One of the big-time head coaches in college football is going to join us. Please hit the like button. It's Howie's Gators versus the Hurricanes, live from Gainesville on Saturday. We will talk to the head football coach, Mario Cristobal. That will be at the bottom of the hour. We will have Philly 500, by the way, at 4:30. He'll join us. Please hit the like button. Hey, by the way, Xander, where are we in the like button right now? Where are we right now? Guys, we're great, man. I appreciate it. Okay? Really great stuff. Gators own to you? Okay. 151. Guys, please hit that like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Sills National Football Show. Please hit the like button. We're going to talk with our friend Mario Cristobal, the head football coach of the Miami Hurricanes, who take on the Florida Gators on Saturday. That'll be one of the big national games. That rivalry used to be absolutely one of the greatest rivalries in college football. There was a time frame when that rivalry, I think, there was a point when we played at UM where Florida and Florida State and Miami were ranked in the top 5 for 4 years in a row. I mean, it was just really hard football when you played those games between those programs. Wilbur Marshall was on those teams. Emmitt Smith was on those teams. Those were some of the really great. The Gators, one of the hardest places to play and one of the loudest places I've ever played is there in Gainesville. Make no mistake about it. Real quick, before we get Mario on, there was something that kind of flew under the radar. Jeffrey Lurie did this too. A couple months ago, Jeffrey Lurie was talking about selling 10% of his team. And now that the NFL has allowed equity firms to now be part of, that's Saudi Arabia. Be prepared. Saudi Arabia is going to start investing like it did in the PGA, in National Football League, in a minority stake with these equity firms. Think about what he can do with 10%. Jeffrey Lurie can sell 10% of the Eagles and generate $800 million doing that because of the evaluation that he has of $6 billion. The money that he spent, what was it, less than $200 million to buy the Eagles themselves? He could turn around with 10% of that team. 10% of that team. He could turn that around and create $800 million of net wealth for himself and the organization. National Football League's a monster. Make no mistake about it. NFL is a monster when it comes to generating money. And now they're looking for equity partners for them to be able to do this. The amount of money that the league makes now, and I think some of the fans don't get it. It's no longer whether you show up to the games any longer. 97% of the operating budget comes from TV packages. It doesn't come from the stands. Sills, how he builds a team like it's fantasy football. High power offense and no defense. This fan base, myself included, does not want to watch this team blow a winnable game. Youth takes patience. Here's the thing, though. Ask yourself this, though, Bob. Is that a directive from the owner? Does that come from the owner? That the owner wants that and wants that done like this and wants a priority beyond the offensive side? Let me say this to you. That's not Howie Roseman's money. Someone's telling him how to do, or not telling him how to. But if Jeffrey Lurie didn't like all the money being put on one side of the ball, there wouldn't be. So this, to me, comes from the owner. The owner wants high. Isn't he a Hollywood guy? He wants to put on a theatrical show. This is what the guy does. He doesn't want that kind of stuff any longer. He just doesn't. All right. Big games this weekend in college football, man. I mean, before I get Mario Cristobal on here, I want to say this to you, too. Saturday's games, Clemson, Georgia. You got Notre Dame A&M. Then on Sunday, you have USC and LSU. And, of course, the game that I'm going to be looking at is Florida. We went up there to Gainesville, and we played the Gators up there, and we stopped a 25-game win streak. And this was in 86. We went up there. I think we had 13 sacks. And I think one of the things that are going to be different this year with this team is that I think the Canes have a good front seven. No, I'll take that back. I think they have a great front seven. And this is a book Jimmy Johnson sent me. You know what it said? Dan, it was a great run. Well, I think we're going to go on a run here. And I'm looking forward to this year. And I think the guy who's the caretaker of our program is a former Cane himself, national champion. He goes up to Gainesville. I wonder what that's going to be like for him, standing on the sidelines as the head coach instead of as a player. Let's bring in the head coach, Mario Cristobal of the Miami Hurricanes. How you doing, Coach?
Great to see you, brother. Doing well. How about yourself?
How's that going to be for you standing on the sidelines as the head coach of the Hurricanes instead of a player being up there in Gainesville?
Well, it's always the ultimate honor, right, to wear the orange and green U, and kind of like you wish you could still play, right? Moments like that bring a lot of memories, but obviously a tremendous honor and really eager to watch our guys and put all that hard work to good use.
Mario, has it been more difficult to build the culture back or build the roster back?
I think it's what we expected. I think when you study, every place has a different starting point. I know we've been able to visit on that at a couple different stops over the last several years, and the starting point at Miami, it was equally challenging, and the one that we look forward to, one that we never shied away from or ever took pause in reconstructing and in doing, and it's been a tremendous amount of progress in the last couple of years. And again, looking forward to taking another step, a big step this year.
Coach, I'd have to say this to you. Back in the day, we had 3 power programs, FSU, UF, and us. Now you have UCF, you have UCF, you have FAU, FIU, all that. Plus you have the influence of the Southeastern Conference coming down into Florida. It's a completely different world now. Plus you add NIL. It's more difficult to recruit today than it's been in the last 15 years, maybe even in the last 5 years. Is that fair?
I think it's all relative. I think it's always been difficult, and I think it's going to continue to get more and more difficult because the world is smaller, right? I mean, there are now planes, trains, and automobiles that go anywhere and everywhere, and you can access somebody's film with, the touch of a button. So access, both, from a video standpoint, information standpoint, and then from on-site, in-person, putting eyes on people, it's a lot more feasible, which gives you, again, just a broader area to recruit. And let's call it what it is, man. I mean, there's great football being played all over the country, and you can't shy away from getting away and going and evaluating players in different parts of the country because Miami's a melting pot of the world. So I think everybody fits in well down here.
Coach, how difficult has NIL made it when it comes to today's college football? I mean, there's no question now. I mean, kids are calling coaches now, and something that we never even thought about ever doing was, you're talking, there's money involved now, but how much of a dynamic has that made it a difficult thing, even bigger task on trying to get kids into your program? And like you said, it's not a Miami issue, it's a college football issue.
I think the offseason is a little bit more than a little bit different. I think once a roster is settled and you start camp, that kind of almost like disappears. Football's still football. I think it more than anything, it's people trying to figure out where is this thing going? What are the parameters? What are the restrictions? What's allowable? I think that is probably the more difficult part to it. That's what adds to the dynamic of difficulty of it. But I mean, we approach it the exact same way. You know what? Find good people that want to work their butts off and do right by others and want to be elite. I mean, that's undefeated.
Coach, what do you like about this program so much that you go into Florida with great confidence that you're going to come out with the victory? I mean, it's a big game right out of the gate. It's something you and I were reared on. We played that game. That was our number one game of the year every year. I mean, I don't ever remember playing a Miami season down there where we didn't start out with the Gators. I mean, this is a big-time deal here. Feel comfortable going into this game? What makes you so comfortable and confident going into this game this weekend?
Well, I don't know if I'm ever comfortable doing anything until we play the game, But to the question of what I like best about this team, I love the fact that this team, they run at the work. They run at the work hard. They run to the challenges. There's no flinch as it relates to doing the hard labor, the intensive hours of film study, of the physicality of practice, and which means it's a group of guys that they want to improve. They want to get better. Haven't seen entitlement creep into the program. I haven't seen selfishness creep into it, and it's something that you always monitor, right, when you're putting together a team. But I think the best way to say we're really, really blessed to have an awesome group of young men that have worked their butts off. And you know what? Now it's time to go find out, how hard and how well all that work can translate over to the field on game day. So it's an exciting bunch of guys to be around. They really are. They're awesome people. So looking forward to watching these guys go to work.
Coach, a couple last questions. I know you're pinned for time because you're getting ready for this thing this weekend here, but, going up to Gainesville there, man, that's going to be quite an environment. A game like that, I always felt, Coach, that when you played early, you knew kind of where you were coming out of that game. Very young back in the day when we got beat 28-3 by the Gators, we went on to win 11 games in a row. We won the national title because a coach figured out what we were, who we are. Games like this, you like playing these tough games at the beginning to find out kind of where you stand instead of kind of limping into a season?
I like playing them whenever they show up. I mean, you can analyze the schedule every single year, and every single year it's got its different components, right? I mean, we've had years like you mentioned where you start off and right away it's a nationally televised game, and sometimes maybe the schedule isn't, early on the opponents are a little bit different. So, I mean, either way, what you can guarantee, what you know going when you put your head down at night is you're going to play against great teams that have great players. So your preparation should never, ever sway away from being nothing but your absolute best. So for us, we're ready to play ball.
Finally here, Cam Ward, best quarterback that Miami has had since Ken Dorsey, in my opinion. That's a position that we have not recruited well. You come in there or started bringing kids in. Now you get this kid to want to come. And, boy, I'll tell you what, I'm a Heisman voter, and I'm pulling for this kid big time because I think he's going to be an impact football player on this team. Why do you like him so much, Coach, and what has he brought to the program since he's been there?
If Cam was here right now, he'd be just yelling at the screen going, I don't want to hear about awards and accolades. I just want to go play my best football and win. And that's what I like about him. That's what we all like about him.
Is that what attracted you to him? Is that this guy here knows where he is in the room and knows who he is now?
I think all the components. First, you got to see it. Can he play? And then once you see that on film, you identify a guy that's accurate, great presence, can run, can improvise, all that stuff. What's he made of in here? What's he got going up in there? And you want to talk about a guy that was raised right. That's what he is. He's just he plays, and I mentioned it a couple times before, he plays the quarterback position like a defensive player, like a linebacker, like a D tackle. He's just very aggressive. He's very alpha, and he really has no interest in getting praise. He just wants to go to work and get better.
Well, Coach, I'm going to leave you with this. There's nothing like killing those guys up there. And I'm talking for me now here. I mean, I can't wait to see this, man, because I think this is going to be the kickoff to where you're going to see this program get back on track where you want it to be and where you played and all the national titles that you won. So good luck this weekend, Coach. I'm really looking forward to this, man. You couldn't start with a better game to start this 24 season. Go get them.
Appreciate you, brother. Great to see you, man. Go Canes.
You bet. Go Canes, man. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Mario Cristobal, man. Head football coach of the Miami Hurricanes. I so look forward to this game. I'll tell you what, that guy has put his backbone, and boy, I'll tell you this, they also have spent the money. Okay? They spent the money. Jameson goes like this. Hey, that interview was short. Well, dude, how many coaches are going to talk during a game week where he's got numerous interviews nationally to do with ESPN, with Fox? He carved time out for the National Football Show and JAKIB between Fox, ESPN, and CBS. How you doing? How you doing? What are you talking about? What's his name? Twin, send me some. Hey, okay. Yeah, all right. Hey, man, you're not getting Mario Cristobal on a show like this. Only here. How you doing? Look at Dick Train. Let me guess. Temple plays OU on Thursday. I can't wait for that railroad. Hey, no disrespect. Temple plays OU Thursday night. Hey, do me a favor. The Big Sills has got a recommendation for all you Owl fans. Duck. Duck. Just, hey, you're playing Oklahoma. Is that right? Are you guys playing Oklahoma on Thursday or Friday? You're playing Oklahoma Friday. Hey, just a little bit of insight. Duck. I'm a Temple alum. We're going to get smacked. We play okay. Hey, Mario, I think you play Friday. I don't think you play Thursday. I think you play Friday. Sills, can you compete with the financial? That's a good question. I don't know, man. Hey, Temple versus OU shouldn't be televised. Hey, Alex, get this, Alex. Hold on here. Xander, check this guy out. Temple and OU shouldn't be televised. Alex, they don't televise public executions usually, right? I don't know. Hey, all I'm saying is, this, yeah. Hey, Alex, they don't televise public executions. I mean, okay. Hey, wait a minute here. Okay, here we go. Man, we're going to do something here. They're going to televise the Packers execution in Brazil. Senor, there you go. Okay. Big Sills has written down the 5 most overrated quarterbacks in pro football. What would be your 5 quarterbacks when it comes to being overrated? By the way, I'm going to get to Sirianni here in a minute. We did Howie Roseman. My 5 most overrated quarterbacks in pro football. Herbert, Hurts, Mahomes. Ryan, go softball Sills. I'm an alum, dude. What'd you want me to do? Act like a scumbag gator? Oh, wait. That's your GM. What'd you want me to do? Act like a gator? I'm not a journalist. Prescott. Cousins. Herbert, Lawrence, Allen, Dak Prescott. Ask better questions. No, I'm not going to ask better questions. No, I'm not. No. I'm not looking to break news with Mario Cristobal. The news is he's here. And you'll see him nowhere else. How you doing? Stop crying, guys. Stop crying. Okay, then softball Sills it is. Comes to Miami shit? Yeah. Yeah, okay. You win. He's a teammate of mine too. Or his brother was. Herbert, A-Rod. Okay. Here's the Big Sills. Most overrated quarterbacks in pro football. Ready? Number 5. Derek Carr. Number 4. Kyler Murray. Number 3. Trevor Lawrence. Number 2. These are the most overrated quarterbacks according to Big Sills. Dak Prescott. And the number 1 most overrated quarterback, according to Big Sills, is Jalen Hurts. Hurts 1, Dak 2, Trevor Lawrence 3, Kyler Murray 4, and Derek Carr number 5. By the way, let's see. 50 million, 48 million, 55 million, 46 million, 45 million. Woo! These guys are robbing. Holy cow. Let's get to Nick Sirianni now. Not that Nick said anything. I wrote very few things down about Nick Sirianni here. Let's see here. Hey, just so you know, Xander Krause said that was the worst list I've ever heard. Why? Because Hurts is the top guy? Well, I usually put guys who throw for 2,500 yards and 10 touchdowns a year at the top of the list, especially guys who are making $50 million. And, hey, you know what? That's a good point. Because let me ask you something here. And Craig Carton and I were talking about this today. Are you so sure that 2022 wasn't just like Nick Wright even says? How do you know it wasn't just an anomaly year for him? And that's not really who he is. Because the 3 years he started, 21 and 23, there's been more bad years. Or how about this? There's been more decent years than great years. There's only been one. How do you know that wasn't just a one-of? Why are you so sure that it's going to be different? He's practicing against a very, very suspect defense. How do you know they're prepared for the Packers? How do you know this? That wasn't just, and by the way, it wasn't like he was spectacular throwing the ball. He was great all around, but that's not what they're doing now in 24. How do you know that? That just wasn't, hey, do not guys have special years and never go back to doing that ever again? Yeah, all the time in sports. How do you know that? That wasn't just a one-of. It's completely regressed from a year ago. You can say whatever you want about coaching. Sure, okay. How do you know? I'm not saying I do, but that should be enough to go like this. But it's a question. Hey, listen, if you can answer a question that I ask you both ways, you answered the point. Seals, how do you know that was just a one? I don't. But you also have to land on the side. It could be 1 year in his career that will be the best year he's ever had, and he'll never get back to that. How do you know that? You're assuming that he's got the intangibles to win ball games. Or not ball games, the game. Right? Kyler Murray's won 11 games. I don't know. He had one great year. Okay? Right? Stop crying. This guy here. Stop crying, guy. We need Hurts to be good at decision-making. Yes, you do. Jalen Hurts is a winner. So is Lamar Jackson. But he didn't win a Super Bowl. Kyle never won an NFC championship game. No, but Jimmy Garoppolo did. Most overrated tackle. Seals, Nick Wright is riding Dan Sileo's coattails on being an Eagle troll. I'm just asking. I think they brought that up. It was a good question. How do you know he'll ever get back to 22 again? You're assuming that. Oh my God. When I heard that this morning, I even text Craig Carton and I said, hey, you guys, this is right. I never thought of it that way. I never thought of it that way. How do you know? You don't know. 21 was, I don't know. 23 was, we know. 22 was good. It was really good. What makes you think he's going to go back to that? Wishful thinking? That's not a strategy. Hey, King, get this. Is it the likelihood that he's going to have a good year? Yeah, I think so. Is it the likelihood he goes back to being an MVP candidate? That I don't know. And you're going to go like this. Well, look at all the talent. No shit. Hey, by the way, that even brings this up even more. There was nobody last year that had more talent in the offense than Jalen Hurts and threw for less than $3,000. I mean, even Sam Howell had a better passing year. I just want to make it clear. Can you imagine if you put any top flight quarterback like Herbert or any of those guys in that offense, what these guys would throw for and how they would win? My list is superior to your list of overrated. I think it's a fair question too. Hey, dude, honestly, Hurts, in my opinion, is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Maybe I'll take it back. Overhyped. I don't see it. You could say whatever you want. I don't see it. We'll see. Seals, this is the prove it year for Hurts. And I absolutely love the way he conducts himself. I do too. But I need to see consistent results. Right. He's never been. How about this, Samuel? Samuel, would you agree to this, Samuel? He's never exhibited consistency in his entire NFL career. Is that fair? Is that fair, Samuel? Okay. Samuel, that doesn't mean he can't do it. But if there's a question, look how people get upset when you ask a question like that. It's like you're attacking someone for asking an obvious question that you don't like to hear. Well, that's a you thing, and I can't help that. Let's see here. Jalen Hurts hasn't proven shit yet, dog. Okay. What? I'm not sure what you talked about, what you're saying here. Right, saw the numbers bump from some small network when the host trolls Hurts' fans. I know people get their stuff from us. People over in Philadelphia with the radio stations, they get their shit from us. I know it. Everything has to be perfect for Jalen to be good. Has to have a loaded offense for him to succeed. I don't think that's a bad comment either, my friend. If Jalen Hurts doesn't have a loaded team, he can't win. He's not going to carry a football team on his back. He can't. Shit, they had A.J. Brown out of the game in the playoff game last year, and he fell to pieces. Let's see here. Sills, what does MVP mean? Does it mean you are the most valuable player on the team that makes a difference in succeeding, or is it based on just what others think of him? Let me ask you this. Let's do this, Abe. Is Jalen Hurts the most valuable person on his football team right now? If you had to rank the players on that team, who's the most valuable player on that team, in your opinion? Who's the most valuable player? AJ? Lane? Who? Hurts, third? Okay. Look at Brock Purdy. Who's the most valuable player on the 49ers? Trent Williams? McCaffrey? Purdy? Okay. Who's the most valuable player on the Bills? Josh Allen. Who's the most valuable player on the Bengals? Joe Burrow. Who's the most valuable player? Kansas City. Who's the most valuable player in Houston? Who's the most valuable player in Green Bay? The quarterbacks have to be number one. Can't be third or fourth. That means you can win in spite of them. Sills, this topic will keep people yelling at their screen for hours. Well done. Nick Wright is an asshat. being on the other side of his opinion makes you right. Here, Bob, know this. When you ask a question like that, hold on here. When you ask a question like that, if you can't answer it without having the other side question it the same way, then in my opinion, it's a fair question to ask. How do you know that guy's not going to go and repeat a performance like 22? How do you know that when he's never been consistent in the NFL? 21, 22, and 23 were all different years. He has not shown one time. That's why 24, we all agree, is either going to shut Big Sills up or the narrative will continue that that guy is not who you think he is. There is no getting around it now. You can't have a fourth year be completely different. Okay? 21, 22, 23, and 24. Dude, that's why I say 24 is going to define Jalen Hurts. He showed you he can do it already. No, he didn't. Dude, that's like telling me Jimmy Garoppolo showed you he could do it. Or Colin Kaepernick showed you he can do it. They did the same fucking thing he did. Same thing. Those two guys. I mean, are those two guys special? No. Marcus goes, but Hoss, wait a minute, Marcus, has Jalen Hurts shown you consistent play as an elite quarterback in the National Football League in his 3 years starting? Yes or no? Bob, let's have some common sense here. Bob, has Jalen Hurts shown you in 3 years that he's a consistent football player at his time at quarterback in the National Football League? Has he or has he not? Marcus says yes. So last year's 15 turnovers was good for you? Marcus says his 18 turnovers compared to the year previous where he had 6 picks is the same. So is this guy, Jalen, saying that 18 picks or 15 picks and the year previous, his 6 picks are on the same page. Really? That's consistency? 6 picks, 15. You're delusional. You're delusional. Delusional. How can he succeed when he doesn't have a consistent coach? Prince, he can't. Ever. He's going to have a career like this. Why? Because that front office does that. Wentz's career. It's the way they operate. You're not going to have the same play caller like in Kansas City or up in Green Bay or even down in Los Angeles with McVay. You're never having that. You're never having that. How you're right, Prince. Prince, think about this. You're right. Hurts will never be a consistent player in this league because the organizationally doesn't do that. You're right, Prince. He's going to have peaks and valleys because of the inconsistent coaching. Absolutely true. 22, phenomenal. 23, here. By the way, I hear John McMullen and everyone going like this to me and saying this. He wasn't that bad in 23. He wasn't good enough. For a $50 million guy, that ain't good enough. That ain't good enough. Hey, he's good. So is Kirk Cousins good. That ain't good enough either. Hey, Steve, what's wrong? What am I saying that's wrong, Steve? What? I'm curious. What am I wrong about, Steve? Do you know why? Brock Purdy, hey, let me do this. Niner all day. Hold on, I got to get this. I got to get this here. Excuse me. You need to stop glazing over Allen. Allen's a fantastic football player. Even Tom Brady knows. Everyone, dude, when Brady and Peyton Manning say he's the second best quarterback in the league, I don't give a fuck about a poll. Okay? Allen, the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Okay, sure. Not by Tom. Get this. Some poll and Tom Brady's telling you he's the second best talent. I'll take Brady's word. I'll take Tom Brady's word. You know what that poll can mean to me? If you polled the same WNBA folks, they would tell you that Caitlin Clark is the most overrated player in the WNBA. Okay? They would say she's the most overhyped and most overrated player in the WNBA. Okay? So careful when you're asking people about those player polls like that. Okay? I mean, you people are trying to stop her from being the rookie of the year, and she's head and heels above everything. But not if you ask the WNBA players. That's a player poll too. Hey, listen, guys, one more time about Josh Allen. You guys can fucking hate the guy all you want. Let's take a look at this one here. This is MGM Bets here. Here are your favorites to win the most valuable player award. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes, plus 450. The most overrated player in the NFL. Number 2, Josh Allen. Number 2, plus 800. Number 3, CJ Stroud, plus 1,000. And then you got Joe Burrow, plus 1,000. Then you've got the legendary Jordan Love at plus 1,400. Then you have the greatness of Jordan Love, again, like I said, at 1,400. Funny, I don't see any dual threat on that list. Josh Allen. And the Cowboys signed Dalvin Cook. How you doing? Hey, Troy, can you imagine if Josh Allen was in Philly on that offense? Instead of having just Stephon Diggs, Devontae Smith's better than Stephon Diggs. Can you imagine? Josh Allen in that offense with the best O-line, $10 million back, shiny new wide receivers. Can you imagine? Holy shit. Wow, I'd like to see Josh with that offense. Real quarterback. That'd be amazing. Hey. Niner all day. I got a question for you. Do you know why why do you think Brock Purdy will have a better career than Hurts? Niner all day. Why do you think Brock Purdy will have a better career? He's out to a better start already. Bob, there's one. Where's Bob here? There you go. Why do you guys think Brock Purdy will have a better career than Jalen Hurts? You got a head coach who controls his career. You got a GM in Philly who controls Jalen's. You got a coach who controls a player's destiny. In Philly, you have a GM that controls his destiny. You got a non-football guy controlling his destiny in Philly. And you have a football guy controlling his destiny in San Francisco. Niner all day. That sound right? He's a football guy. Only way that happens is because the organization knows his limitations and won't make him play out his comfort zone. Well, I mean, what exactly has San Francisco done that's any different than what they've done in Philly for Jalen? Explain to me what's different with Jalen versus Purdy. They're both comparable. What has Jalen done more than Brock Purdy? What? What has he done more? He's been to 2 conference title games, which is already more. He's won 2 division titles since he started. Just tell me, he's thrown for $4,000. He's gone to a Super Bowl too. Name me one thing that he's done better than Purdy. I could name you a couple things that Purdy's done better than him. Better thrower, better passer, spreads the ball out more, wins more since he started, more productive from the pocket. He was the most productive quarterback from the pocket last year in the NFL. Most productive with lesser attempts. Like I said to you before, of all the quarterbacks in pro football in the top 20, he had the less attempts and still had the 3rd most passing yards. Josh Allen, Herbert, Lawrence, Dak haven't achieved what Jalen has. Also, we all know Jalen didn't come out as a pure passer. Still will develop. How about this, Mansom? Okay, that's fair. But here's the thing. So when he came out of college, he had a deficiency of not being a pure passer. So you're going to go to his lesser talent skill set of throwing the ball, right? How's that make sense? Why wouldn't you stick with what made him great in 22? They're not running. You don't pay all these guys this money. 10 for the back, 25, 35 and 25 for your wideouts and 15 for it. And all the linemen pay. You're not paying that money to run the ball. He ain't running it. You think they're going to endanger Jalen Hurts at $51 million running RPOs? No fucking way. Especially with those Y and Z guys you're paying. They're going to throw the ball. So according to you, Musa, you're telling me that what the Eagles have decided to do was hire a guy to transform him into being a pocket guy, which he's never been. And that's what we're going to see in 24. My money's on he can't do it. Practicing against the 26th best defense in camp doesn't give me comfort. They cannot go back to running because they don't have Shane Steichen. So again, the consistency of coaching hurts them. Okay. Dude, you guys actually answer your own reason why he'll never be a consistent quarterback in Philly. You answer it. Bob says, Sills, San Francisco puts a system in place that plays to Purdy's strength, like it did for Garoppolo. And like it did when even Harbaugh was up there, when he had Colin Kaepernick. Move Purdy to an RPO and see how he does. Hey, but that being said, Bob, move Joe Burrow to an RPO, see what he does. Joe Burrow's not running an RPO. By the way, they're not running an RPO anymore. Jalen Hurts' issues are organizational failures. Paid him $50 million and changed his scheme and his game. I think that's where you are. Right. Jalen's instincts will take over and be out of the pocket more than they want. I think he's a weapon like that, Nick. Nick, I'm going to say it one more time. Nick, I'll say this to you, so it doesn't sound that I'm totally killing him. Here, Jalen Hurts in open space out in the perimeter is undefensible. You can't defend him. You can't. There's like an Aaron Rodgers presence to him in space in the open when he's sprinting out. You can't defend that. Doom, run. Doom, run. He's the most accurate Wildcat quarterback of all time. That's not a rip. Coordinators and coaches looked for that guy that could throw the ball out of that Wildcat, and they've been looking for that guy forever. They've never found him. It's him. But Laurie and the organization don't want that. You know why? What's the one thing that I always say? There's not a high ceiling for longevity with that style of play. They want to spread this thing out as much as they can. Jalen Hurts is going to make you sing the Eagle Fight song again if you keep this up. Well, I didn't have to sing it too much last year. That's for damn sure. Okay. Roland, Sills, it's a shame, but I think Cincinnati may have already ruined Burrow with the 70-sack Super Bowl season. And you're talking about like when Carr, the brother, got destroyed in Houston with all them sacks, never was the same. We'll see you. Hey, by the way, Roland, this is a big year for Joe Burrow. I'm sick of seeing you on the sidelines, dude. Hey, and by the way, I don't mind the fucked up hairdo or the cool clothes or all this and that. Pretty soon I'm gonna go like this pretty soon to you. Hoss, you look like a hooker on Madison Avenue. You don't look like a Super Bowl champion quarterback. You look like a hooker. You got to go out and win ball games, son. Hey, you know what? When you win ball games and you're in Super Bowls and you're winning Super Bowls, I mean, that guy looks like Huggy. He's a white Huggy Bear. This guy looks more like a pimp than he does an NFL quarterback. That's right, Yale. It's time to fucking play. Let's go. I'm sick of that bullshit. It's time to go. Hey, all these guys. Here, let me go down the list for you here. Let's start with Allen. As great as that dude is, skill set and talent-wise, no doubt. No doubt. Hey, I can't keep doing this to you. You're the best-looking woman in here. You're the best-looking woman in here. No one wants to date you. You're like, well, maybe he ain't. You got to win, man. Get this. Josh Allen is no longer gauged on what he does in the regular season. He's elevated to that now. Where, get this. Hey, you got to win in that time of the year to be considered because you know why? You're in the AFC. Let me say this to you. Peyton Manning was never better than Tom Brady. Peyton Manning underachieved in the Brady era. So if Josh Allen underachieves, he lands on being Peyton Manning if he wins one. Ben Roethlisberger had more Super Bowls at one stop than Manning did in Indianapolis. Is Ben a better quarterback? I don't think so. But I'll tell you one thing Ben did do. Never had a losing season. And he won 2 Super Bowls. Stop crying. We summoned Xander to come on. You're high as F, Sills. Whatever, guy. 1 year. Benefit of doubt. Here, let me go here. Matthew Stafford has a losing record as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Do you know that? He's won a Super Bowl, and they call him elite. How can you be elite when you've never really had consistency in winning? Some would go, well, he was in Detroit, Dan. Well, Jared Goff doesn't seem to have a problem with that. Is Matthew Stafford a better quarterback than Jared Goff? I don't know. Goff's won everywhere, but Stafford's got the Super Bowl, even though he never won in Detroit. And he had Megatron. He had Megatron. One of the most gifted wide receivers in pro football history. Because he was on the worst team in football, Goff's team is 10 years later. You're nuts. Wait a minute. When he got traded to Detroit, dude, they thought he was just going to be a stopgap guy. Instead, he leads them to the NFC Championship where they haven't been in 35 years. And he gets a $53 million contract. They didn't think they were keeping him. But seriously, though, Jalen was battling injury and inept coaching last year. It's not fair to critique on Hurts when comparing him to other organizations. What do you mean other organizations? This is how you do business. There have been 8 different coordinators in 3 years in Philly. What are you talking about, Uncle? You've had 8 coordinators on both sides of the ball. This is how you do business. 8 coordinators. If you don't make it to the Super Bowl and that defense hangs out at 25-27, Vic Fangio will be fired. You're going to bring a guy back with the supposed talent that you guys say they have? That I don't. I wouldn't fire him because I actually think the defense will probably be better in 25. But they're impulsive. Sills, what kills me is that this team wants longevity from Hurts. I believe they do. But does not build a staff to provide him with the tools for longevity. Amen. This is such a good take. This is my problem in a nutshell with your whole development of Hurts. Right here. This is it. And then, you know what you have to end up saying? You have to end up saying what Xander says. You got to learn to live with it. Really? Well, then you got to learn to live with Jalen's ups and downs in his career. Every year he's played, it's been different. Coordinators, coaching, personnel, defensive personnel. Okay, so Jalen's got to carry a side of the ball because Howie didn't build it with veterans. How in the fuck is that on the quarterback? You think Brock Purdy's got to carry the 49er defense? Imagine this. You're not a Niner all day. I guarantee you in San Francisco, they're not saying this. Hey, Brock's got to keep long drives and has to outscore so that the defense can stay off the field. They're not saying that in San Francisco. They're saying that in Philly, that Hurts has to score a ton of points to keep his defense off the field until it gets ready. That's an organizational thing. That's not a Jalen Hurts issue. I mean, really. Detroit turned around due to the O-line. Detroit turned around due to Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes drafted correctly. 2s, 3s, and 4s all hit. Okay? All without a doubt. JM goes like this. It wasn't golf. So what the Detroit Lions decided to do was pay him $53 million and $200+ million in salary and 180 in guarantees because it wasn't golf. Okay. Jeez. You gave a guy $250 million because it wasn't him? Really? Gareth Goff won one game with Detroit with the exact offense that Stafford won 5 games the previous year. Goff didn't win shit in Detroit. He won a $53 million contract. That's what he won. He makes more than Stafford now. You know that? He makes $10.5 million more than Stafford. Well, I'll tell you what. He's doing something right. He's the third highest paid quarterback in pro football. He makes more than your boy. Put Purdy in the same situation that Hurts was in. I guarantee that he gets traded after 2 seasons. That's not a Brock Purdy thing. That's a Philadelphia Eagle issue. He'll never be consistent because you're not consistent around him. Okay, so wait a minute, Mad Bird. You're saying that's the market, so you paid Jalen, okay, because that was the market, not because he was great? Okay. Seals, you and I both know that as long as Mahomes is playing, Allen ain't winning it, sadly. Hey, Cosmo, you know this as much as I do, Cosmo. As long as Tom Brady's in the AFC, you know Peyton Manning ain't going to win a lot of them things. Say the same thing about Peyton Manning. You know, as long as, hey, Cosmo, am I right when I say this? When Tiger Woods is on tour, you know Phil Mickelson ain't winning shit. He may win a couple, but he ain't winning it when it comes to being the golfer of the decade. When it comes to being the best quarterback in his era, Peyton Manning ain't it. Can't be. And here, Jalen's worth the money. He was worth the money last year? Sills, Detroit is now a very Philly-like situation. They signed their quarterback, but get this. To big money after a very successful year. They probably lose their OC after. They probably do. But, Bob, here's the thing. Here's the thing different than what Philly is. What's the difference? Bob, you know this. Majority of those players up there in Detroit are on rookie contracts. Penei Sewell, they gave him more money. Tight ends on rookie deal. The receivers, one of the receivers is on a rookie deal, Jamison Williams. The other guy they gave big money to, the second best offensive line, maybe the best offensive line. I think I have it. The best offensive line in football is Detroit. Majority of these guys, Aiden Hutchinson's on a rookie deal. Campbell's on a rookie deal. Teron Arnold's on a rookie deal. The majority of those players on defense are all on rookie deals. And they went to the NFC Championship game. That's why they have cap relief. They have cap relief. They can build their team because they're hitting on their draft. Hey, Howie's never hit on anybody like Aiden Hutchinson. We're hoping Jalen Carter's that guy. Know this, Teron Arnold's starting. Okay? All right. Guys, Philly 500 is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Okay? Let me get to one more here. The question is, which offense was it last year, Nick's or Brian's? Nick said it was his. Nick kept coming to the podium saying it was his. It's my offense. Brian's just calling the plays. Which turns out not to be true. Because Brian and Jalen had an ask for Nick because he was getting involved. Turned out not to be true. Geez. Quinyon Mitchell is not starting at CB2. He's starting in the slot. That's not a corner position. Good night. Read a book. Okay. Philly 500. Guys, hit the like button. Keep It Here National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We appreciate it. I love this comment here. I do. I love this comment here. What is it? Here it is. Eugene, you're right. Sills loves Fangio, but not his defense. Oh, I couldn't wait, by the way, to get Philly 500 on. See Brian Baldinger, what he said about Jordan Davis? Went on WIP and went like this. That guy has shown nothing in 2 years. Nothing. He's right. He's shown nothing. Now, different scheme. No, here. Let's back up a second here, though, and say the reason I say that as well is because for a guy to run a 4.78, to be that big and have that much talent and to be so much of a non-factor against the run in the second half of the season and really not been in his entire career yet, he's underperforming. Nobody here would go like this and say Jordan Davis has lived up to the 13th pick in the draft, would he? Let's find that out and go to our friend, the legendary, our friend, Philly 500, the resident Jordan Davis.
My man, Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis, baby. I love Jordan Davis. What do you talk about? I remember Sills in September and October. Man, that Jordan Davis is something. That Jordan Davis is playing great football. You said it. He played some good football at a time The problem is he ran out of gas after chasing down Josh Allen. It was end of the season. So yeah, in terms of has he lived up to the 13th pick yet? Probably not. He's shown flashes of how good I think he can be, how athletic. Now he's got to go out and do it for a full season.
Listen, that shows you right there in a nutshell how a career can be. And I'm going to bring it and tie it into Jalen Hurts here. So you just said something very interesting. You said something that Jordan Davis looked like he was one of the – you know what? You could make the comparison of him and Lawrence from New York. Would you not say in the first 6 games of the year? Like he was as good as that all-pro nose tackle, Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think there was still something
to be
had. Yeah, I mean, against the run and playing the run, yeah, I think he was pretty good the first half of the year. I really do.
So what happened then towards the back end of the season then? He ran out of gas, right?
He decided to use it all to chase down Josh Allen. I mean, he ran. I'd never seen a big guy move like that. But they went to commercial break. He's still laying on the ground like that. He was done. I think he was done after that. Ran out. I don't think he was conditioned well enough.
I'll tell you, it was one of the greatest plays I've ever seen a big man.
Yeah.
I mean, really. But I want to ask you this because Nick Wright, and I had a conversation with Craig Carton, and they brought something up about Hurts today on their shows. And let me ask you this. How are you so sure that Jalen Hurts is ever going to recoup being the 22 player when the organization itself lacks consistency when it comes to his career? Look, and I'm going to make a comparison here to this. Mahomes is always going to have the same play caller. What other quarterback is going to be in Los Angeles with the Rams? He's going to have the same play caller. Matt LaFleur is going to be the same play caller probably for Jordan Love for the next 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
The Eagles have had 8 coordinator changes on both sides of the ball. And Sirianni's been there. What? Aren't we going to see this with Hurts? We're going to see Shane Steichen. We're going to see Brian Johnson. We're hoping to see this with Kellen. Kellen gets a job. We're back down here again. Aren't we going to see peaks and valleys? Because, wait a minute, 21's different, 22's different, and 23's been different. What makes me believe 24 is going to be any different?
Well, 24 should be, according to your little graph,
we
should be on an upswing. Yeah, so we're going to have a good year this year. But no, I actually have talked about this. I have thrown this out there that the downside to a really good year, let's say they go to the championship game, Kellen Moore is going to get offered a head coaching job. You probably lose your offensive coordinator again. So I think the Eagles got to find a way to find some stability there and try to figure out a way to keep him. Even if it's a few years or something. But hey, listen, I would not be opposed to making Kellen Moore the head coach in this situation that they have a great year. I know it's crazy and you don't do that, but I have no problem doing it if it means I keep the same play caller if he has a real good year.
How about this dynamic? Let's hypothetically go through the tape here. Hurts wins the Super Bowl MVP. Yeah. Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator, will be the hottest guy out there. Mm-hmm. Do you believe the Philadelphia Eagles will really let him walk out the building knowing full well that the guy they invest in and the guy they spend all that money on that offense for and everything that you covet in a play calling head coach, are you really going to allow him? Because let me show you something else too. You allowed Denard Wilson out the building. Denard Wilson went to Baltimore. They had the second best secondary in the NFL. Now he's a coordinator in Tennessee. Okay, do you think there's any coincidence why the secondary has blown since Denard Wilson has left? Then you let Shane Steichen, and Johnny, I don't know how good Gannon's going to be. He came in there and beat the Eagles last year. I don't know how good he'll be. But can you afford to let another good coach walk out the building?
No, I think this is something they're going to have to figure out. I don't have the answer for it. It's a great question because this is something that I have brought up several times on my channel that if we have a really good year, what is going to happen? I mean, me personally, no, I would, if I win the Super Bowl, he's MVP, I'm going to say, you know what, Nick Sirianni, we're giving you a front office job. We're giving you a nice front office job, but Kellen Moore's, I'm not losing him. I'm not losing a guy that goes out and puts my quarterback in a position to be Super Bowl. I'm not doing it.
I agree with you. I agree.
So,
you know what? I would fire Nick because here's the problem that I have with Nick. And here, let me ask you this. So you've given Nick Sirianni and the Eagles the benefit of the doubt that all those issues have been erased between the quarterback and the head coach, and you think they've been erased. By the way, if that dynamic does work the way you guys think it's going to work, where this guy's going to have an MVP type year, how do those two guys not get closer and Nick and the quarterback get further apart?
Great question. I totally agree. I totally agree. This is something you got to watch, and you got to wonder. Well, will Nick Sirianni try to influence it or put his feet in there because he feels insecure in the relation? We have all those dynamics that are at play. I don't know how it's going to work. I can just tell you this. I think Jalen Hurts looks really good so far from what we've seen in no playing time, but what we've seen in his just movement, the way he's the way he's acting. I think he's in a good place heading into the year, but we won't know until he gets on the field.
Here's where I think he looks good. I don't think it has anything to do with him on the field. You know what I think has improved a lot with him? His football IQ.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Kellen Moore has improved his IQ because you hear them saying the most important thing that I want to hear a quarterback say. He's taking what the defense is giving him. Last year, remember what they did? They threw to the numbers, no matter what. And Jalen forced the football. It was more of a forced game last year and a forced game plan.
Right.
That's Nick's aggressiveness. You got Kellen. I think Kellen Moore's more patient, don't you, than what Nick is?
It seems like it. Yeah. If you just base on what we've seen a lot this preseason, a lot of checkdowns and stuff like that. So I agree with you. I think he's a lot more patient. I think, yeah.
What'd you make of the Eagle 53? Initial 53. What were you? Were there any surprises? Were there anything that you? Bradbury didn't surprise you.
No, because I didn't think there. I'm gonna be honest. I still think there's a chance he's not gonna be here week one. I think they're playing this thing out as long as they possibly can. If they can move him, they're gonna move him. If they can't move him, they're gonna just say, you know what, the hell with it. We keep him on our roster. We got a veteran. We'll have to pay him, and we'll eat the money. I still think there's a slight chance, but I didn't expect him to get cut. I didn't think it would happen.
I said this, Philly. If they didn't cut him the first week, they're keeping him, and I think they're keeping him for an insurance deal. You think they're going to cut him going into next week because they have to get down they have to get down to 53 for the Green Bay game by Tuesday.
If I'm the Eagles and I want to move him, I'm not going to get rattled because that's the 53-man roster just hit. I'm going to play like I like him. I'm happy. I'm good with him, and then I'm going to try to flip him. When teams basically, get their practice squad, maybe they don't get a guy that they like, and maybe they're more interested that way. I still think it's possible, but I think it looks like it's heading in the direction he's going to be here week one. At safety, and I don't buy it either. How about this one here from Nathan? Yeah. Q not playing outside corner is a huge red flag, and I got to say, hang on for a minute. You didn't draft him to be a slot corner. You drafted him to be on the numbers. Teron Arnold is starting in Detroit. Okay, he's starting at corner for the defending NFC champions, and I'm saying this to you. Or the defending NFC championship game guy. The Detroit Lions got there. The Niners are the defending champions. I'm saying he's starting on a pretty good football team. You're telling me that Quinyon Mitchell couldn't beat out a guy that was involved who in gambling didn't play a year and had the 31st worst pass defense, and he can't win a job? Oh, I think he could win a job. I just think that the way they're looking at it is I think they like what they see in Isaiah Rodgers. They're going to let him at least start there on the outside to see. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a switch at some point, but early in the season to get Quinyon Mitchell on the field, I think they just want, like, they want to get, if you don't put him in the slot right now, he ain't on the field. So I'd rather him be on the field in the slot for 1 year. I think what's going to happen is he's going to jump outside. DeJean, when he gets acclimated and catches up, he's going to take over that slot spot, and Quignon's going to bounce outside. So I'm not sold that he's going to be in the slot all year, anyways.
Like maybe week 3, because Xander thinks maybe week 3 that you got Mitchell starting out there on the numbers.
Yeah, I think they want DeJean to get in there in the slot, and I actually like what I saw from Cooper DeJean the other day. I actually think he's a safety, though. I think he's a better safety than a corner.
He's not going to play corner in the NFL. There's no way.
His
hips, you see it, he does not roll his hips like a true safety. He does not. No. Okay? Get this here. Check it out. Okay, here's Prince saying this. I appreciate it, Prince. The Lions were ranked 29th in pass defense, and you were 31st. Okay? And you were 31st. He won a job. You guys had the 31st worst, Prince. Okay?
So I think it's like, I think it says good things about what we're getting in Isaiah Rodgers. I don't look at it like a negative towards Quinyon Mitchell. I look at it like, well, listen, they picked up this kid for nothing. He was a steal. He has started. They like what they see in him. He's looking good. He's ready to play. Apparently, he spent all off season getting himself to be the best he can. He looks good. That's a good thing. Ringo, he's looking good. These guys are looking good. I don't see that as a negative or a downside by Mitchell. I say, hey, maybe we did get deep at the cornerback from last year. I think it's a good thing.
How about this? He says they lack depth at corner. So do you. So do you. You lack depth and experience. What's that?
Experience, maybe. I think we did last year lack depth. I think this year, I think we're going to be good.
Okay, who's good in that secondary, in your opinion?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson's my ball hawk. I got my ball hawk.
Okay, remember something here.
I need him.
He's played 15 games and 34 games in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I know. 2 freak injuries. I don't believe that he's going to have his injuries like he did last year. And let me tell you, he's only going his 3rd year as a safety. The kid has gotten better every year. I like him. I still think Darius Slay can play. Well, we'll see, right? And then I think you got – I really like Ringo. I think Ringo's an outside starter, could start. I think this Isaiah Rodgers kid can start on the outside. And I drafted Quinyon Mitchell and DeJean. And I got Eli Ricks, which I'm glad they kept. So I think they do have depth. And I think they got
but they lack any kind of resume.
Well, yeah, I mean, resume comes with playing. You can't help that they haven't played a lot yet.
How could you not play on a team a year ago that was 31st then? I mean, how come they didn't get any playing time? Some of those guys a year ago, how come they didn't get playing time?
They did. Ringo got playing time at the end of the year. I mean, what happened at the end of last year? I think a lot of the secondary issues, too, have to deal with the pass rush. There was no pass rush last year, Sills. We were one of the worst teams in the league on 3rd down getting to the quarterback. Well, you don't have a pass rush. It's going to make your secondary look worse. I'm not trying to make all excuses. I just think there's talent there.
Okay, that's a great thing. 2 injuries away from being a bottom 5 defense, Nathan says, and I appreciate that, Nathan. Okay, so 500. Let me ask you this then. You're right. In 22, you had 70 sacks, right? And a high volume of hits on the quarterback. And the reason why you were 2nd in pass defense, would you not say? Because, look, you played that 2 high safety and that zone defense in 22 like you're going to play this year. So you're basically duplicating what that scheme was in 22 now, right? Vic was even a consultant on the team, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So you're comfortable. You think that defensive secondary has been improved, right?
I think it's been improved. Yeah.
Has the pass rush?
No.
Because listen, if the pass rush isn't improved, you're in the same position you were a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. That's my biggest concern going into this season. I don't know what to think about Bryce Huff at all. Like, I don't have anything against the guy. I haven't seen anything. He barely played in the preseason. I'd have no idea what to expect from him. Nolan Smith, hasn't been too impressive so far. This is the big concern for me going into the season. I am worried about the pass rush. I do. I worry about my edge rushers.
let's say this then. The 70-man roster is how he calls it. Tight end, O-line. Now they get Jack Stoll back. Okay. I don't mind that move. I actually like it. And probably what? Wide receiver, in your opinion? And think about this too. They kept 28 guys on the 53-man roster. 28 defensive football players. That shows you the imbalance of the roster. So I ask you this. Can you win with an unbalanced roster, or as people are calling it, a top-heavy roster? You got all your money and all your experience on offense, and you've got limited experience on defense. Now, look, Philly, you're going to give the benefit that these guys are talented players because the Eagles are a talented football team. There's nothing wrong on August 28th saying that until you see them play against Green Bay. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you can make the definitive comment that they don't have experience over there and they are top-heavy. Can you win a Super Bowl with a top-heavy team?
I think Kansas City's done it. I mean,
Kansas
they do have
City had
Patrick
one of
Mahomes.
the top defenses in the NFL last year.
Yeah, but if you look at that defense the year before, they struggled a lot during the season. But what they did is they played a lot of the young guys, right? I mean, and you have Patrick Mahomes. That's the ultimate. Wow, that's the ultimate ace. I think the plan that what they're trying to do, I get it, and I can deal with it. The question is the execution. Did they draft the right players? Because if you didn't draft the right players, it's not going to work out. I think that you rely on your offense early in the year. You're hoping that they go out, they score a lot of points like they should, and this gives your young defense time to gel. They're going to struggle early on. People need to realize they're going to struggle. They're going to give up points. They're going to give up yards. It's going to happen. But by the end of the year, you hope that they start playing better.
How about this, Philly? I completely listen. I'll give up going into the bye. I think before you get to the bye, this is what's going to happen. You're going to win a game that you shouldn't, and you're going to lose a game you shouldn't. And if you're cool with being 2-2 going into the bye, but follow me here. That's not going to mean an indictment on the season because, Philly, if you get towards the end of the year and you got 11 wins, but you're playing like a 14-win team, like look at Kansas City a year ago. Kansas City lost to the Raiders at Arrowhead. They were terrible. But what were they doing? They were playing like a 14-win team in December, and the Eagles were playing like a 5-win team in December. So I'm going to sacrifice that. However, will the fans and will the organization be cool with 2-2 as that young defense? Will you I guess my point is, will you compromise losing a couple games to get that defense where it needs to be and get the reps those players need to get?
I will. I will. I don't expect it to be a smooth sailing 10-0 start. And if we do win games, it's going to be like 34-28, 31-30. It's going to be high scoring games. But I do believe that if the execution of the players that they went out and signed and drafted are good, then by the end of the year, this defense is going to start playing well. And then they're going to go into the playoffs with the defense starting to play on a better level than they did earlier on. All of a sudden, they're going to be pretty tough. And this is going to be a scary team going in the playoffs. I think that's how you do it. And I understand the way the Eagles are building this defense. They built the offense, free agency, big names, and they're really building the defense through the draft. But these guys got to hit. Nolan Smith, first-round pick. Jalen Carter, first-round pick. Jordan Davis, first-round pick. Quinyon Mitchell, first-round pick. Cooper DeJean, second. These are high picks, Sills. They've got to hit on those picks, or it doesn't matter what the plan was. It ain't going to work.
Will Vic blitzing more do to offset the pass rush? Yes, it will. That's, to me, that's one of the reasons.
Yes.
He's got to generate a pass rush. Xander, we missed a super chat. If you can bring that other one up. 2 injuries away from, there was another one that just happened here a couple seconds ago here. I want to make sure that we get it there because I want Philly to answer some of these here too. So you guys keep bringing them along. I appreciate it very much. Philly, when you look at that pass rush, how much of an impact do you think Vic has on righting the ship from that defense of a year ago?
Well, I think that he'll generate a pass rush, like you said. If you have to blitz, I think he'll do it. The thing that I like about having Vic Fangio is I think that if you're struggling, if you're going through struggles, he's able to settle it down. Once things started to go bad, it just snowballed for us. So I think Vic Fangio is a huge part of that, and he's got to teach these young guys, and they got to learn how to play.
Nolan Smith's a bust.
Listen. I am trying so hard. How
about this?
I'm trying to give him time. It's only going to second year, but I mean, I'm not going to lie. What I saw in preseason was underwhelming. I don't think you keep a guy out there who you really think is going to do something. Late, like the whole first half of the third preseason game. That kind of has me worried. So I'm worried about him. I'm hoping. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to wait, but I'm worried.
How about this? I hated that Jalen Hunt pick. I'm not so hating that pick now.
No, there's something about that kid.
I'm not hating that pick. Why do I look at it and go like this? Could Jalen Hunt have more sacks this year than Nolan Smith? Is that bit crazy of a take?
No, because I would not be surprised if that kid starts playing like by week 4, week 5, a little bit here. They're going to start putting him in on pass rush situations. I don't know. There's something about, you look at a player, you hear, there's just something about somebody. There's something about that kid, man. I think he's got a lot of upside.
Couple more left here. I think Nakobe Dean sucks too. Do you?
No, I'm not going to say that.
You don't think Nakobe Dean sucks? We have this on tape now.
No.
How can't you say it?
Hey, Nakobe Dean, I love you, buddy. You the man. Because I know they're all listening in Philly. Right? You got Howie's in there. Howie, what's up, baby? You listen
there's
to the
no
show.
doubt. They all do.
Hey, Nakobe Dean's all right. I don't know.
Dude, you know he stinks.
Listen. This is his make or break year. He showed me a little bit of flash in preseason. I'm not doing anything to take away his
baggage handlers at Philly International. Guys who are now baggage handlers at Philly International. He showed upside against. That's who you're gauging it.
I'm just saying. I'm gonna wait. I've made the commitment to wait until the season started before I kill him. I do like Trotter Jr. a lot, though. That's my boy.
I actually have been surprised by him.
I like him a lot, and I even like this Ben Van Sumeren. I think this kid needs to play more too. I actually think they've got some things to work with the linebackers.
Who are you? You're naming a guy named Van Helsing. That's going to be a starting linebacker.
He's a Viking. He's like a real Viking on a boat.
Oh, listen to who you're saying. What's his name? Van Helsing is now a linebacker. Yeah. Holy shit! Next to death.
Hey, TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards was just TJ Edwards until he became TJ Edwards. You got to start somewhere, Sills.
Okay. How about Devin White?
I love Devin White. I think Devin White's going to be.
Oh my!
I know. God. No. Devin White is going to show everybody that was a mistake.
Show everybody
he's going to be that he's a great linebacker. He's going to prove it this year. Top 5 linebacker this year. Mark it down, book it. Yeah, he's going to literally be the biggest free agent steal. Is going to be Devin White.
Oh my God! How about Bryce Huff? I mean, hey, you know what? I saw Bryce Huff on a milk carton, and get this. There were these Indians sitting over in like Wyoming, and they were sending out smoke signals. Have you seen Bryce Huff? Have you? Hey, that's a $51 million nut.
I thought he was. Yeah, I mean, dude, Bryce Huff is a giant. Look, I don't have anything negative to say or positive. I just don't know.
I don't have either. I didn't see him all camp.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about him. Because we didn't really see him. So I mean, we'll have to wait. I assume and I hope that they went out and spent money. They spent big money on him. So
yeah, $51 million.
He's got to be a 10-digit. He's got to be at least 10 sacks, or it's a disappointment. That's what I think. But I also think this: with the pass rush, there's time. I think that you could see what these guys do the first few weeks of the season, see if you're getting what you have, and if you don't, I think then that's where Howie's got to make a move. Khalil Mack, somebody like that. But we have to see what these guys they have, what they are.
All right. I got one more for you.
Where the hell's Mark Holmes?
You know what? He told me he had something to do with his dad today. Yeah, you know why? He didn't want to go over that great signing of Dalvin Cook.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Philly, we had Cowboy fans in here earlier, and I felt so bad beating the shit out of them because I kept going like this.
Never feel bad.
I went like this. I said, how in the world do you have a normal conversation with people in Philly when you have been such a disgusting franchise for 28 years? I mean, how in the world do you fighting a Cowboy fan for an Eagle fan is like, I can use both my fists. Cowboy fans have one hand tied behind their back in a fist fight. They have no way of defending themselves.
No, but they don't realize that. They think that they're above the fray. They think, oh, we got 5 championships. No matter what you say, that's our trump card. That's how they think, even though they've never seen their team in the NFC Championship game, nor will they ever. Not with Dak Prescott as quarterback.
Dude, let me just say something. Most of those Cowboys Super Bowls, they used to have rope in the helmet. Okay? Not the cushion. They had rope. Actual rope in the helmet back in the 70s with most of those helmets. And a motorcycle helmet was safer than an NFL helmet back in the day. Dude, I don't know. Cowboys are winning 5 ball games. Hey, what about the CeeDee Lamb sign?
I mean, I know the Cowboy fans are all celebrating it like it's a big deal, but to me,
he's not top 5.
You're signing this guy and you're signing him to that much money, and now you still got to sign Dak, and now you still got to sign Micah. So it's like, how many receivers signed big contracts before he even signed? How much did that cost the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, a lot.
I
think
the
at the very end. No.
Yeah. I think they're screwed. I think that this is it, man. I think this is Dak Prescott's last hurrah, and I think he's gone. I don't think he's
How
back
about
to
this
Dallas.
one? I mean, think about if you put AJ Brown in the slot, he'd have 180 catches and 1,900 yards. He'd have 1,900 yards receiving. You're going against safeties. The only other big-time wide receiver that makes giant money that's a slot receiver is Cooper Kupp. Okay?
Yeah.
Those 2 are the only guys. The rest of them, you could how about this? I could take AJ off the numbers and put him in the slot. His numbers would improve. If I took CeeDee Lamb off the slot and put him on the numbers, his numbers would go down.
Yeah, you're probably right. Hey,
last thing.
I love it, man. Crush their face.
Hey, last thing here. Biggest concern for you as you get ready for the Packers next week is what?
There's the 2 things is one, going into the game with no playing time for the offense, anybody. They didn't get any reps. Now you're traveling to Brazil to play a home game. That could be a tie-breaking game on a Friday. I hate this game. I hate that it's in Brazil because this is too big of a game. If you wanted a Brazil game, let us play Cleveland or somebody in the AFC. Why are you giving us Green Bay? So I hate that. And then I hate, I worry about the pass rush. I think you're going to get a high-scoring game week 1, versus Green Bay. I think it's going to be like 31-28, 34-31. That's what I think it'll be.
How about this? And I agree with you. I think it's going to be high-scoring. Like you said, if you play Cleveland, it's out of the conference. Can you imagine if both teams, let's say this, both teams are sitting there and you're both 12 wins and you both win your division. Well, if Green Bay wins, that divisional game is in Green Bay. It's not in Philly because that was a tiebreaker ball game.
In January, which
in
is
January, you have to go up there. You have to go up to Green Bay. Right. By the way, same thing for the Packers. The Packers, that's a conference game too, man. They'll have to go to Philly if they drop that game.
But think about it,
puts both those teams in a bad place.
But if you're the Packers, you got to be saying, well, we got to play the Eagles in Brazil, not in Philly. I mean, they got to feel better about that.
Yeah, that's a win.
I don't like that it's a home game. I don't think it should be considered a home game. I really don't. I hate that. But
I hate they took it away from the link.
And the game's on a Friday. I have to take off work. It's on a Friday.
Look at the NFL, dude. Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. Talk about owning the weekend.
I mean, it used to be great when it was like back in the day where it was like you had Sunday night and Monday night, and then there was nothing Thursday unless it was Thanksgiving. And that was an event. Those Thanksgiving Day games. Now it's like, it's watering down too much.
Hey, that's right. That's what happened to Major League Baseball. Philly, tell the folks where they can find you, my friend.
Just type in Philly 500. I'll come up. You can see me there. If you want to see me on my alternate channel, Mark Holmes, he's always playing clips of me. So, that's half my channel anyways.
What is his – I don't know what his game is on how he fights people when people come in and start talking. You can't talk cowboy football. There's nothing to talk about.
Everybody. No, if you go on his channel, he'll just block you. He blocks everybody.
But there's no rhyme or reason where you can have a normal conversation with cowboy guys and go, you don't really believe you're a contender this year for the Super Bowl. You can have the number one roster in the NFL. Jerry Jones is not going to win you a Super Bowl. Jerry knows how to build a team, but you know what he doesn't know how to do, what Jimmy did? He doesn't know how to build championship teams.
No, not after the salary cap. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the 90s,
even Jimmy with the cap, right?
But I mean, the 90s, it was the Herschel Walker trade. Jim Johnson set that whole thing up. That set up the whole thing. That was the best offensive line I've ever seen in football, was that Cowboys offensive line. And Jimmy Johnson set that up. But I mean, Dallas fans have always been delusional. I mean, you know how many times, back in the day, I'd have to argue Roy Williams, the safety that couldn't cover anybody, versus Brian Dawkins.
God.
It was
there's no debate in that.
They would argue those
Philly
kind of
500.
That's how insane it is.
No way.
They're insane. They're
Roy
insane.
Williams and Brian Dawkins.
They would be like,
absolutely
how can you consider Brian Dawkins better than Roy? I mean, are you kidding? Roy Williams can't cover anybody. But that's the Dallas Cowboy mentality.
Wait, the Brian Dawkins comparison is Ed Reed, not Roy Williams.
Right. Yeah. But that's what you're dealing with Cowboy fans.
Roy Williams is a good hamburger place. That's all I know. Hey, Philly, I appreciate it, man. Make sure you check out his channel, man. We'll try to see I think you scared him off last time, Mark Holmes, man. He wanted.
I can only beat a guy up so many times. I mean, how many times am I going to whip his ass?
Got it. Billy, have a great one, man.
Right.
I appreciate it.
All right. Peace.
You got it. Our good friend. All right. Do me a favor, guys. Xander, do me a favor. Because Prince cried so much because I was getting to my guest. Can you please bring up Prince's super chat? Oh, my God. You guys are like 6-year-olds. Okay. Here is a stupidity take. The Lions were ranked 29th in pass coverage. No shit. They only have one cornerback, Dalton Davis. Boy, so do the Eagles. You're 31st in pass defense. You've got Darius Slay. They lack depth at cornerback. So do you. Which is why he started. And your guys not. On the other hand, the Eagles have too many what? Too many questions. This is a dumbass take. I'm going to show you this. The Eagles were ranked 31st in pass coverage. They only have Slay. They lack depth at corner, which is why he started. On the other hand, the Eagles have too many. Give me a break. Are you crazy? Thanks a lot there, Philly 500. What an absolutely asinine take by Prince. This guy's making it sound like the Eagles have this plethora of talent in the secondary when they finished second to last. They were worse than the Lions. And the Lions went to the NFC title game with it. What happened to you guys? Oh, must have been your quarterback. Holy shit. This will go down here as one of Prince's worst takes in history. We should make sure we put this up in a frame. What a lame-ass take this thing is. I completely agree. Laughable. No, well, you know, they don't really have a lot of debt. And you do? Who, Isaiah Rodgers? The gambler? What do you mean? Wait a minute. JB goes not the same secondary. Okay. Isaiah Rodgers and Slay. What about Quinion? He's in the slot right now. What about Keely Ringo? Oh, I don't. Keely Ringo. Isaiah Rodgers. Who are we talking about here? Superstar talents? No. I don't know. Maybe. Could they be? I don't know. I have no idea. But I know the kid that the Lions drafted is starting in his natural position. Not coming up with a position for him. Yeah, that's Isaiah Rodgers, the new name, the gambler. You got Darius Slay and the gambler. You got to know when to show them. You got to know when to fold them. That's Isaiah Rodgers' song. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to show them. This is too good. Kenny Sills. Mitchell is more versatile than Arnold. Slagger. He's never played in the slot in his life. And Arnold doesn't have to play the slot. He's playing corner. How you done? All right, we're going to reset. By the way, I got to get to Fredo Sirianni from what I heard yesterday. We'll reset too. All right, guys. Where are we in the like list here? Man, calm it down. By the way, you guys think you have – hey, Yale, are you still in here? Are you still in here, Yale? Let me see something here. Got to ask a question here. Because as Prince would say, I'm not that smart. What's the point spread for the Packers and Eagle game? Okay. -2. Okay, I got it. It is – some places it's 1.5. Some places it's 2. Okay. Woof. You guys got such a better roster than the Packers do. I mean, I can't even name the Packer corners. I can't name the Packer D-line. I can't name a Packer in the O-line. I know Christian Watson, and I know Jordan Love. I mean, I don't know anybody on that team. Okay? You got that great roster with the – how could you only be a 2-point favorite over that Packer team? Alexander? Oh, yeah, he's good. Okay? I started watching your show the last few days. Truly underrated show you have here. By the way, I'm a Titan fan, but the Eagles are my second favorite. Well, you got a hell of a defensive coordinator now, Denard Wilson. And they're actually starting to do things in Tennessee. They need to get that old line back intact, okay? If I'm not mistaken, Callahan hired his dad to be the offensive line coach. He's the second best offensive line coach in pro football, in my opinion, next to Jeff Stoutland. And so you have the second best O-line coach in Callahan. I don't know what the young kid's going to look like, but I'll tell you, you get that quarterback situation figured out, then you could probably move forward. Tennessee hasn't had a quarterback since Steve McNair. They got to get the quarterback situation figured out. Got to get a veteran quarterback in the next couple of years, and they got to get a draft pick in there. Okay? I mean, was a good organization, but they've allowed too many things to go. They got a great defensive tackle, and they're improving their defense. Yeah, Bill is the line coach, and the left side of the O-line will be good. Will be good. Big question mark for me is right tackle. Yeah, he'll continue to improve that. He's as good as Stoutland, Bill Callahan. He's absolutely as good as Stoutland. I like Bill Callahan. Absolutely fabulous. Sills, the Packers have Josh Jacobs. Yeah, you got Barkley. Bad back Barkley. Hey, all right. Hit the like button. Man, a lot of crying today. You didn't like Big Sills' list, huh? All right, we're going to reset. We'll talk about Nick Sirianni and his comments he made yesterday. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Please hit the like button. You guys have been really great today. We thank you so much. You guys always have an opportunity to go other places, but you choose to come here each and every single day. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Like to see if we could possibly, by the top of the hour, get to 300 likes. You guys have been awesome. Thank you very much. The only thing that I think will stop the Lions from winning the Super Bowl is golf. He puts up good numbers. Don't get me wrong, but I think when the extreme pressure is on, he can't do it. Now, he's gotten to a Super Bowl. Hey, by the way, CW, because of many of these Eagle fans in here don't understand common sense. Jared Goff has had a career that if you look down, resume-wise, accomplishment-wise, is he the second most accomplished quarterback in the NFC right now? Okay. He's been to 2 NFC title games. He's been to a Super Bowl. They lost 14-3 to the Patriots. Tom Brady, that's nothing to be embarrassed about. He's thrown for 4,500 or more yards 6 of the 8 years he's been in the league. I mean, I think any quarterback with his accomplishments, and he's taken 2 different teams. Okay? I'm not talking about John. I talked to you, and I said this. Isn't he not? Maybe you could even make an argument. He's got a winning record. Is there a more accomplished quarterback in the NFC than him? Is there? Thank you, Alejandro. Name me a quarterback in the NFC that's more accomplished than Jared Goff. Stafford, the Super Bowl puts him over the. Hey, real. Here's the thing with Stafford. He's got an under 500 record, and I think he's got a 500 record in the postseason. He's had one great year. Goff has accomplished a lot. Look at what Dan says. Goff has accomplished a lot. He's also been surrounded by a lot of weapons. Just like Jalen, you could argue. Yeah. But here's the thing. He puts up insane numbers. Dude, I mean, he's been consistent in his numbers. I mean, get this. All-Pro Jalen has won the Art Bell. So did Carson Wentz. Look at this guy. He's comparing Jalen Hurts to a guy that won also the Burt Bell Award, which was Carson Wentz. Wentz owns one of those too. Yeah, good thing in Philly. I think even Jaworski has one. Golf is more accomplished than your boy Josh Allen. Yeah, for sure. More accomplished than Joe Burrow. Absolutely. Sure, Jalen can also. How long has golf been in the league? Well, once again, Dan, let's take a look at that. You want to go down that route? All right. Jared Goff's stats. Take a look on what he's done. Just like Jalen, he didn't start his first year. He sat on the bench because of that inept guy that was the coach there. Jared Goff's stats. All right. He's 3 years younger. Okay, then we'll stop. 3 years. Okay, we will. So his first year starting, he threw for 38.04. And he threw for 28 touchdowns in his first year. In his second year starting, he threw for 4,688 yards and 32 touchdowns and 12 picks. And they went 11-4, and they went 11-3 or 13-3. So in his 2 years starting, he went 24-7. Throwing for 38.04, 46.88, 32 touchdowns. The following year, he threw for 46.38, and 22 touchdowns and 16 picks. The year after that, he threw for 4,000 yards and 20. And let's see, what's the last year before 3 here? He threw for another 4,200 yards. Same amount of time that Hurts has been in the league. Oh, yeah, golf. Yes. Carson Wentz, Jared Goff absolutely was the right pick to be the first overall pick over Wentz. Totally was right. I'm not arguing Goff hasn't done more than Jalen. I'm just saying we can't determine if Jalen can accomplish the same. No, I know. That's my comment that I've made all day today. You don't know he's ever going to go back to 22. I don't know that. That's why 24 would define him. Bruce says Goff is a Hall of Famer. He wins a Super Bowl, he will be. If Jared Goff takes 2 teams to a Super Bowl and he wins one of them, and having gone to 3 NFC title games, yeah, and throws for 5,000, 50,000 yards, he will. He will. Like I said, Forrest, you could make the argument that Jared Goff's the most accomplished quarterback in the NFC. Stafford's got the Super Bowl, but he's not done more in his career than him. I mean, hey, by the way, he's been a benefactor. Yeah, how about this? He's been a benefactor on good coaching around him for the most part, because remember, after they fired Jeff Fisher, they brought in Sean McVay. And McVay elevated his game. And then the kid Johnson, that's the play caller up in Detroit, who was offered the Washington job, but he wanted $18 million. He turned that job down because he wanted more money. So he's got a pretty good play caller up in Detroit. So he's had good coaching around him. As a matter of fact, Jared Goff the last 3 years, or 2 years at least, has outplayed Matt Stafford. Some would go, well, Stafford's been hurt. Well, that's part of it here. That's not a Jared Goff thing. It's not. Do you think him adjusting to the blitz is a real thing? I do. His numbers in the blitz in 22 was fantastic. It's interesting. Well, Dan, let's do this. What was different on how he was able to handle the blitzing and how Shane Steichen handled the blitzing, in your opinion? What do you think? Dude, you can't blitz RPO. You can't blitz an RPO. You blitz it, here. If you don't get home, there. You can't blitz RPO. By the way, Dan, his decision-making in play is spectacular. Think about what he has to do. I think he's got better senses than any play caller he's ever had, including Shane Steichen. You snap that ball, Dan. Okay? You snap that ball. Within a split second, he's got to determine what to do with the ball. Keep it, throw it, run it. And he's got to see this moving at blinding speed. I'd say that in itself is as complicated as progression reading and finding landmarks. Because you got these guys flying at you, and you got to make a split decision move. But you know what it also does? It keeps him away from doing one of the, hey, Yale, what does RPO do? The one thing that Jalen struggled with the most. Xander keeps bringing it up. Holding that ball too long. When you read defenses, the problem that you have with everyone, including Brady to anybody, you have limited time. You don't have limited time in RPO. Boom, boom, go. Boom, 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 go. When you're back in the pocket, here, who am I doing right now? Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts. You can't deny this, right? Hey, Yale, folks, you can't deny this, that Jalen Hurts last year handling the blitz looked like Carson Wentz his last year in Philly, right? Right? Did Jalen Hurts last year look like Wentz in handling the blitz by holding the ball too long, patting it, sack, fumble, turnover? It's the same system that they did. Why are you doing that to him? Why are you doing that? His decision-making on the fly in RPO, I think that's why they keep that read option in there. I think that's why they put that read in there, because you know why? I feel, get this. This is going to sound freaking nuts. I have more faith in Jalen Hurts making a decision and a play than I do Kellen Moore. Last year, they didn't let him make decisions. They told him where to throw the ball, and they stopped him from running. Whether he was hurt or not, it took the part of the game away that made everyone afraid of him. Jalen Hurts was not, after the teams realized he wasn't going to run, they crushed him. They crushed him. And it was shitty coaching. If you want to watch RPO, go watch Georgia Tech. They've been running that thing for 20 years now. And you want to hear something too, Disciple, what made it even more fucked up? That Coach Johnson guy that implemented that RPO at Georgia Tech, they had Calvin Johnson in that thing. Calvin Johnson's from Georgia Tech. And he was in that RPO offense. And you're like, what? Megatron was in that offense. And you're going like, hey, right, Disciple, am I right? Megatron was in that Georgia Tech offense. And you're going like, what? No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Okay? $50 million a year for the best RPO quarterback. They won't use it. Makes it, Charlie. This is the one thing that Todd Monken did better in Baltimore than what last year Brian Johnson and Sirianni did with Jalen. They didn't deviate off of Lamar Jackson's skill set. They went completely away from one thing that made him the most. Hey, and I'm going to say this one more time to you guys. If you coach Jalen Hurts better at what he does best, he would be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. But you refuse to buy this. You want to put him in the room with these passing quarter. He's not that guy. He wasn't even drafted to be that guy. Yale thinks they're Yale thinks they're going to run him. No way. I'm not putting my game in the hands of Kenny Pickett. It's not happening. Kenny Pickett's not winning an NFC championship game. He's not. Sills, have you watched the movie Fifth Quarter? It's about Wake Forest winning the ACC championship. I have not seen that. I've not seen it. Yes, he really is unreal running the RPO. Yeah, hey, Charlie, he ran that RPO in 22. I can't tell you how many times I said this. It's 3rd and 11. He's getting it. You know how many times last year I said 3rd and 11? He ain't getting this. Just as many times as I said he's getting it in 22. I go, there's no way. What was the difference in 22 and 2023? 3rd and short and 3rd and long. You were 3rd and long the entire time. That's why when you play against Green Bay, keep an eye on 3rd and long. In 22, you were 3rd and 1 the majority of the time. You don't have the tush-push play. I don't believe you do. Just because you have Hurts back, I think it's a dynamic between Landon, Hurts. But then again, Wentz was successful at it. He was 26 and 28 when he did it. I think it's got a lot to do more so with Kelsey than anybody else. Okay? Sills, was he elite in 22? Look at this. I've not answered this. Was Jalen Hurts elite in 22? Absolutely. Throwing the ball for less than $4,000. Absolutely. But you guys keep going back calling him elite off that 22 year. He ain't that guy. How can you call a guy elite when they're not doing the same shit? Look, I'm even saying it. Hurts was elite in 22. Can he get back to that? No, because you don't have the coaching, organization, and you don't have the belief. How can Jalen Hurts last year look exactly like Carson Wentz? History repeated itself. hold the ball too long, hits on the quarterback, not being able to pick up blitzes. All of it looked the same. You could have put Carson Wentz back there and it looked the same as 21. It was the same. And you're like this. And Wink Martindale, when Jalen called him, how did you know what was coming? Because we knew what you weren't doing. See, you guys got out to that 10-1 start, right? Everyone was going, they're not really going to continue this, are they? They're not going to really continue this, are they? They're not. Are they? Wait a minute. Are they? And when they realized it, he wasn't taking off. I'm dropping my linebackers back further. I'm covering the zone a little more. Tip passes, turnovers. I'm starting to cheat. He ain't taking off. Dude, DeAndre Swift didn't frighten me at all last year. No disrespect to him. But they got away from running him even in the second half. So now what you're doing is going into 24 here. You've reinvented him. And you're all hyped up on a defense. Get this. If we're sitting here, let me ask you this. We're sitting here on a Wednesday, and you're telling me the defense needs what? Half the year before we'll know what Vic said? How about this? Vic Fangio said this. We'll know probably by week 10 or 12, right? About the defense. Did he not say that? He did. I know he did because I echoed it off his press conference, his last one. So if Vic Fangio thinks that the defense is going to take between 10 and 12 weeks, how can you get a proper assessment on a defense that the coordinators publicly come out saying, I'm not going to really know how good we are for about 3 months? And you're telling me that Jalen's had a great camp against practice and that practice team. Where do you come off with these expectations that a defense is trying to find who they are? They don't even know who their left cornerback 2 is yet. And you're trying to tell me that Hurts has played well in camp? Well, he should. You're going against an inexperienced secondary in camp. You're going against new faces in camp. And you're going against a new scheme in camp. He better play well. You're crowning the guy for playing well in organized team practices versus a team that's trying to find themselves on defense. This has been my problem with the high expectations of 15 wins. You're counting on the fact that he looks better versus a team that even the D coordinator says, I'll let you know in 3 months how good we are. But you're sitting here 3 weeks out of camp telling me that Hurts had a great camp. Against what? A defense that doesn't even know who they are and have an identity yet? Solid. My only comments. That's what I've been trying to convey and echo. That's why I said 9-8. Now look, how about this? And look, I don't like talking like this, but hey, of all the things, Bryce Huff turns out to be what John McMullen thinks, and this guy is a 14-sack guy, that is going to be and pay dividends to the secondary. The success of your football team is going to come down to 2 things: lack of turnovers on offense and pass rush. If you don't get pressure on the quarterback, you're going to be down in the late 20s in pass defense. It's not so much that you have, like Howie said, you have a lot of bodies now in the secondary. Well, that may be well, but are they going to be able to play? If you don't get pressure, it won't matter who you have back there. You went from 2 guys being all pro, 22, to 2 guys being on the worst pass defense in pro football in 1 year. Have you ever seen that before? Why is that? Lack of pressure. Lack of pressure. Was the lack of pressure. Patrick Mahomes would never be influenced or blame coaching. You don't blame a coach in Andy Reid, who has absolutely given the confidence in Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes' confidence in two coaches, Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid. It's the best coaching staff in football, bar none. Bar none. Sills, I say 14-3 because I'm unreasonable and I don't want to watch a sucky team. Not a problem, Samuel. Not a problem with that. Hey, by the way, Samuel, I know some of you guys in here think that I want you to stink. That's so not true, Samuel. Hey, who wants to watch a show where the football team turns out to be 1-7 down the stretch? Nobody. Nor do I. Nor do I. Hey, Big Seals, you always talk about you always talk, but the players we lost. But what about the players that will ascend on this team? Ascending is hypotheticals. Ascending is wishful thinking. Let them go out and do it. You don't know that yet. You really have confidence in a guy who was fired in Tampa for not performing. Do you know in the last 10 years, there were 2 linebackers drafted in the top 5 picks? One of them's Devin White. You know who the other one is? Roquan Smith. Who do you think's having a better career? Roquan Smith makes $25 million a year. This guy makes, what is it, 2? And then I'm prove it deal. Here's the one thing, too, to Yell's point. Look at this, man. 2022. I've never seen anything like what I saw in 2022. Here, let me give you the storylines. Brandon Graham has double-digit sacks. How many times in his career has he ever done that? Was that the only year he's ever done it, or what he did it one other time? In his 15 years, how many years has he had double-digit sacks? 2? I mean, that's not elite, but, I mean, that was a great story. How about Javon Hargrave getting 11 sacks? Okay? 11 sacks in the interior. This guy was insane. I thought that guy had a better season that year than Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald got hurt that year in 22. I thought he should have made the All-Pro team. He had 11. TJ Edwards was freaking great that year. 159 tackles. The other guy, even, watch this, Kaiser White, you signed him late. He had 120. Sweat stepped up and had 11. Reddick was a weapon at 15 sacks in the regular season. Shit, your backups became forces. Linville Joseph, Dominican Sue. Fletcher was good. Look at what you picked up in Bradbury. Bradbury was an all-pro. Epps was great. All these people you had on that team had career years on those one-year prove-it deals. Last year, you didn't have the success. That was unprecedented. All those guys in those one-year deals, wow. I've never seen anything like it. That's right. Yeah, Howie was 1,000% that year. Okay? Philly 500, man. What a great dude, man. Thanks for having me on today. Man, we love having you on. Thank you so much. Hot take. Jalen Hurts, 6 sacks this year. Okay. Hey, well, Philly. Does he have more sacks than Nolan Smith? Philly, will Jalen Hurts, will he have more sacks this year and more sacks this year than Nolan Smith? Hey, Yale, hitting 7 out of 10, you win. Man, he hit 10 out of 10 that year. He was absolutely stupid great. He was so good, man. I do have an answer to that. CT Philly fan. Thank you, Big Sales, for showing up and giving us 4 hours of your time every day and crushing it, big guy. Hey, CT Philly fan, thank you for taking time out of your day, okay, for coming here and seeing us. We appreciate that very much. I say no. I think this is tongue. Wait a minute. I don't know if he really believes. Is that with conviction? Okay, so get this. Jalix Hunt will not have more sacks than Nolan Smith. Is that right? Nolan Smith, 8 sacks? No way. Hey, Nolan Smith won't play 8 games. 8 games. Kyle says, Sills, if the Eagles are 9-8, where are they going to pick next year in the draft next year? I think that's like around 15, 13. You can get one of those edge rushers from Ohio State. One of those edge rushers from Ohio State. The kid from Tennessee is pretty good looking too. Sills, how do we stop the Packer run game? 5-man front. Only way to stop Green Bay. You can't be in a 30 front against Green Bay. They'll run all night, and if they run all night, play action's open, and Love will throw for 450. I can't say I have conviction with Nolan Smith. I'm hoping, though. Hey, nothing wrong August 28th hoping. What's the downfall with Nolan Smith? Guy seems like a dog, but can't see the field. Dan, they're pass rushing him out of the strong side. Make him a weak side player where he doesn't have to have tight ends on him. Make him go against the right tackles. Put him in a better position. You know why they have him on the wide side of the field? Because of his 4.4 speed. He can't cover yet. Make him get this. Can I tell you, Dan, what I would do to Nolan Smith? I would make Nolan Smith. Xander, you listening? Okay? You know what I would do with Nolan Smith? It's just a lack of talent. They're compared to the NFL players. It's just a lack of talent. They're compared to NFL players. How about this? Xander, is it? A little bit. But Xander, you know what I do? Everyone, you know what I do with Nolan Smith? I turn him into the Jets version of Bryce Huff. Get him only 400 snaps. If he gets you 10 sacks, is that not worth the 30th pick? Don't play him on first and second down. Play him on third down. If that guy produces 10 sacks for you off of 450 snaps, is that not worth the 30th pick? And the money I'm paying him, I'm all right with that. Okay? I'm all right with that. I forgot to ask you your opinion on the kickoff rules. I think they should not be taking surprise on side kicks out of the game. It needs to be fixed. The owners are looking at it right now, Philly 500. Dude, you want to do something with that kickoff? Just move it back to the 20 so that you get kickoffs. But they're looking at high collision. Okay? That they're looking at high collision and concussions and shit like that. Third down pass rusher. Yeah. Wouldn't you turn him into I would turn him in Nolan Smith. I would turn him in to a Bryce Huff for the Eagles. Don't play him on first and second down. Put him in there on third and long. Hey, how about this? I wouldn't even put Nolan Smith. on third and 4. I'd put him out there third and long, third and medium, third and 5 and up. Put him in a position to succeed. Hey, man, if I can't play him on 3 downs, let's play him on the most effective and the money down. That's the third down. If he can become a third down, money down guy, it's worth the 30th pick. But the Eagles are looking at him being a 3-down player. He's not, and I'm not sure he'll ever be. And what you're doing is you're grinding him out. Because now what you're going to say is this: can't cover. He can't tackle very well. I don't even know. And then, by the way, that gets in his head and it affects his pass rush. I think they're poorly coaching him. And because now what they've figured out, he's not a 3-down player. Athleticism doesn't mean you're a football player. Seriously. That's like telling me a track and field guy who runs a 9.600 could be a great wide receiver. That's not the case. Just because you're fast don't mean you're a good football player. Just because you lift a lot of weights don't mean you're a good football player. That has nothing to do with it, really. It helps, but it's not one of the main checkoffs. How many wide receivers have you seen not super fast, but yet how does that guy get open? You think Amendola or Edelman were great? Now the guy throwing them the ball helped the development of them, dude. Chris goes, didn't it take Reddick 4 years to start producing? That's a little bit of misleading, Chris, because Arizona didn't know how to use him. They put him in the middle, and they were using him in the middle as an inside linebacker early in his career. When they put him out on the numbers and they put him out wide because they had lack of talent out there and they had injuries, they started seeing he can rush the passer. So if you look at his stats, he had like 80 tackles. He was played at mostly on the inside early in his first 3 years. But then as he got older, people started seeing he could play outside. And when they put him outside, he started creating pass rush numbers. That's how he ended up. Reddick's had 2 careers. Reddick was an inside linebacker, and then about year 4, they moved him outside, and he's been prolific. Only one other guy has had multi-sack seasons in the last 4 years, and it's been Miles Sanders. Or excuse me, it's been Myles Garrett. Reddick and Smith are not the same type of body type. Reddick is a bigger guy. You're right. Biggest difference between 22 and 23 comes down to turnovers. Offense protected the ball and defense had takeaways. The complete opposite happened also in 23. Hey, Paul, but one thing you have to look at, one of the reasons why you had takeaways is because you had pressure. This is a passing league, like you guys have been saying to me. If you're a passing league and you don't have pass rushers, you don't have a good defense. You don't have to have the greatest cover. Get this. Guys, you want to hear something crazy? I would say that you had a really good secondary if you had the front 7 that you had in 22 with the current group you have now. I'd say it'd be no problem. Why? Linebackers are proficient in Kaiser and TJ, and your pass rush is one of the elite pass rushing teams in the league. That's going to help your secondary out massively. People think you get coverage sacks. Well, that's not how Philadelphia works. You know why? You play too high safety. You don't play man. When you have man coverage versus press coverage, the secondary is a result of the pressure. When you play press coverage, the pass rush is a result from your secondary because you have lockdown corners. You don't have lockdown corners. You haven't had it in the entire Sirianni era. As a matter of fact, you have not had a lockdown corner in Philadelphia in 20 years. That 22 defense, being second in defense, especially in pass defense, was zone, not press. It wasn't press coverage. It wasn't man-to-man. It was a zone coverage, 2-eye safety. Same shit you're going to play this year. Since Asante Samuel, probably true. Yes. I believe the Eagles will score 45 points a game. I do not. I think they'll be in the 30s, 33, 32, somewhere in there. Dude, you score 32 points a game and you lose games, you need to check your organization out. You can't score that many points, 32 points, and lose. That'd be 6 more than you scored a year ago per game. Think about that. Okay? You're talking about what? 140 more points probably than what you scored a year ago? And you scored 26 points a game? You can't score 32 and lose. Okay, Dan. Honest opinion on Brian Burns. Brian Burns, former FSU kid. A lot of people say he's an elite pass rusher. I see 1 year of 10-plus sacks. I think he's good, just a little bit overhyped. Here's the thing with him, Dan. You remember something? The Rams wanted to give 2 1s up 2 years ago for him. Burns is 6'5", and he can kind of cover these tight ends if need be. And he hits the QB a lot. Okay, and he was on a shitty Carolina team. And I'm not saying the Giants are better because they're not, but they got a better front four now in New York with Thibodeau, Lawrence, and him. One more time, I'll say it. The Giants have the best front four in the NFC East. They got Pro Bowlers. They got 3 Pro Bowlers in their front four. I mean, he's a good player. He's 26 years of age. He's now making $25 million a year. Okay? I like him. Is he Myles Garrett? No. Is he even Danielle Hunter? No, not really. Hunter's been really good and consistent. Is he Bosa? No. Is he Crosby? No. Okay. I think he's a better version of the Cowboys outside line rush. Hey, his name escapes me. What's his name? The guy in Dallas on the other side of Michael Parsons. He's kind of a little better version than that. Okay? He's kind of a little bit better version of that, I would think. Burns is an elite player and will get better with being in a better front, but he's not top 3. I don't think he's top 3 either, CW. I don't. All right, guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your greenhouse? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. How many people in here believe that Jalen Hurts was hurt last year? How many people believed he was hurt? DeMarcus Lawrence, thank you very much. Maddie, thank you. Yeah, he's better than that. Okay, he's better than that. How many people believed that he was hurt a year ago, Jalen Hurts? Okay. Never on IR, ever missed a game, nothing. Never listed. So let me ask you this. If a player was so hurt, why are you running one of the most dangerous plays you have in your offensive playbook, the tush push, if he's so hurt? Chances of getting rolled up on, having your knee hurt more in that 4th and 1, it's like going after a fumble. If the Eagles were so concerned about his health, why were you running the tush push? I mean, you don't see Patrick Mahomes after he got hurt and hurt his ankle with him going for it on 4th and 1. Get this. This is why I'm here and Real doesn't know what he's talking about. Dog, when you're inside and you've got 1,200 pounds of men inside the offensive line, 300 with the center, 350 with the guard, 350 with the guard, the nose tackle at, 350? And the other 2 tackles at 3. You got about $2,000 worth of people in there, and you got Jalen Hurts, and you're running your quarterback on the tush push play with all that weight? You don't think that's a dangerous play? Fuck, getting a fumble is a dangerous play. It's high impact, not low impact. Holy cow. It's low. This guy says goal line. This guy's trying to tell you that goal line and 4th and 1 is low impact. You've never been in a train wreck then, my friend. You will never hear an NFL guy say 4th and 1 or goal line is low impact. I got to get out of here on that note. Holy shit. Whoa. Dude, this ain't flag football. Okay. All right. Guys, have a great one. Please hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. Joe Xander, we appreciate it. I think Farzetta's on with us tomorrow. I'm trying to get Mike Golick on. He canceled the other day. I'm trying to get him on tomorrow as well. Thank you guys so much. 2 to 6 tomorrow. We so appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, and we'll see you on the flip side.